Welcome back, guys. This is the King of Weebs here, and as promised, this is part 2 to What If Naruto Had Madara's Prodigious Potential. Hope you all enjoyed this new part, and 100 likes for, let's say 75 likes for part 3. Anyway, let's get right into it. Right before we get into it, I forgot to mention I will be covering only up to chapter 14 because it is quite long, and also I'm doing a double upload tonight. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and go follow the creator down in the description below. This story is still being updated. Last time it was updated was the 30th of December 2022, so about 2 months ago. Anyway, to my ducklings, let's get into it.
Chapter 10 start. Are you ready, Karin? Naruto's voice summons her from elsewhere in the apartment. Yup. Karin chirps back at him, straightening the ponytail she'd put her hair in and tucking her bangs back neatly. Naruto had asked her a few weeks prior to get an eye test with a doctor that he seemingly trusts. The reason he gave her was straightforward. If your eyes are damaged, then I can fix them. An Uzumaki's body is meant to be free from the flaws that many normal people possess. He finds it hard to believe that someone with chakra as powerful as hers, civilian or otherwise, would have eyesight so bad that she is essentially crippled. Without her spectacles, his grandfather apparently taught him the delicate nature of healing damaged eyes, and for good reason. Naruto wouldn't be helpless without his sight, but he'd certainly be less capable. Ever since the conclusion of the Chunin exam invasion, Naruto had been getting sent out constantly on missions as a team leader. Their iteration of Team 7 hadn't officially been dissolved, but they all had little time to spend with each other when their skills were required elsewhere. Not that they didn't spend time together, but Naruto and Sasuke have especially busy schedules. 2 Junin and 2 Chunin on one squad is a bit unnecessary. If Naruto's prediction of a retaliation war occurred, skilled and confident ranked officers would be needed in the upcoming conflicts in order to replace the older and weary shinobi left over from the last war, Kyuubi attack, and most recent invasion. Plus, Naruto had been spending an excessive amount of time studying medical ninjutsu with the little free time he had. There is always a cage bunch of him at home toiling over borrowed scrolls, and he would only tell her that it's going to be a surprise. He insisted on teaching her that jutsu as well, to accelerate his training of her in order to defend herself from undesirables. She has an unshaking admiration of Uzumaki Kushina from Jiraiya's stories of her, and who better to help live up to her role model than her son, who'd inherited that burning ambition. Of course, her clanmate coaches her in the correct use of the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu by providing a succinct and accurate answer as to why she shouldn't make hundreds of them when she clearly can. Kage Bunshin get dumber with the more you make, Naruto says, not looking up from his book on flesh rejuvenation with Iryo ninjutsu. They are composed entirely of chakra, and that chakra is required for the Rahan to function and return memories to the original user of the jutsu. If you make too many clones, you just spawn a bunch of idiot versions of yourself that can't actually comprehend what you're trying to learn. 10 at most if you're not in a fight, Karin. Dogpiling Naruto with a bunch of her own self is still fun. Are you ready or not, woman? Karin rolls her eyes with a huff and smile. I'm coming, hold your horses. She hollers at him. She gives herself a cursory glance in the mirror to make sure she's living up to her own vanity. One quick tug on her pale yellow blouse to straighten out the Uzumaki swirl on its back, and she goes to put her sandals on. Naruto has already put his on, but he isn't afforded the opportunity to dress how he wants to with how often he gets called out to lead teams on missions. Even now, he's kitted out in a green officer flak jacket, with the tail of his black Uchiha coat sticking out underneath. His hair is really the wildest part of him, being relatively unchanged aside from length, but the dark bangs seem to make his perpetually active Sharingan stand out. Even more, it seems to make other people nervous, but Karin has yet to find a reason to be scared of the beautiful crimson eyes that had done nothing but protect her in the 6 months she'd known Naruto. Tsunade-sama wants her Junin to set good examples for each other. Naruto is just waiting to grow strong enough to not be considered just a Junin and be given more leeway with how he operates as a shinobi in Konoha's military system, including wearing whatever the hell he wants. Karin bounds down the short hallway to put her sandals on at the door, and finds Naruto sitting there waiting, patiently for her. I'm still surprised that you managed to book a doctor, aren't they like, super busy right now? Karin asks idly, sitting down next to him. It's a miracle. She herself had managed to get a day off, given her new status as the Hokage's office assistant. One of them, at least. I used to be a pretty regular patient to the doctor I booked with, Naruto reveals, blowing a spiky bang back into place. Plus, I gave him a tip to bet on me in the Chunin exam finals. He was willing to slip you in to return the favor. She grins at the blatant example of Naruto's strength giving them privileges. It had been 6 months since the exams, but the damages caused by the summons rampaging through the village had caused significant changes to infrastructure, including doctors' surgeries. It isn't easy to get an appointment when the backlog has intensified due to needing to share space with other important services. One more tug and her sandals are on. She bounces to her feet and gives Naruto a hurried order. Let's go, new glasses await. You don't know where we're going yet. Hurry up, bossy woman. Kakashi and Sasuke stand before their Hokage and her advisors, in addition to Jiraiya. The topic of their discussion being one Uchiha Naruto, de facto leader of the Uchiha clan. It is an unspoken acknowledgement from all of Konoha's populace that the grandson of Uchiha Madara is essentially the crown prince of the village. But the Hokage must look at him objectively and see that Naruto has been singularly selfish, and save for a few interactions with people close to him, he appears to be disconnected from Konoha itself and therefore presents a flight risk if he's not reeled in. If Naruto wants more than Konoha can provide, Tsunade's advisors believe that he may end up following his grandfather's footsteps too closely and abandon the village, robbing Konoha of the most potent bloodline seen in a century. Jiraiya vehemently disagrees. Naruto has already willfully surrendered the key to Sasuke's seal, without it being requested of him, I might add. He did so to absolve himself of responsibility of Sasuke if he loses control of the Nibi. Koharu argues, mild in tone. Omura pushes up his glasses and continues on for Koharu, and as I recall, he refused to sign the Toad contract despite the significant advantages it would provide. The only reason he gave, of which he refused to elaborate on, was, they don't suit me. We find it hard to believe that a boy who is single-mindedly obsessed with power would refuse the opportunity to gain more. To that end, we conclude that Naruto didn't want to sign the contract because he believes that Konoha could use it against him, as in the case of reverse summoning. Jiraiya is having none of it, and Sasuke finds himself surprised that the normally goofy old man is so stern and methodical when he provides his own counterpoint. And something you don't know as a seal master, is that a summoning contract doesn't just allow the ability to call forth summons. It's a contract, seal that links the person who signed it to the realm that the animals come from. That kind of bond creates changes in the chakra of the person who signed it to acclimate their bodies to the kinds of chakra that these summons use. With how powerful Naruto's chakra is and his aptitude for the Sharingan, it may very well weaken him instead of helping. It's a Kekkei Genkai for a reason. You both clearly need to think long term. If Naruto is going to sign a contract, then it's going to be a summon that he can synchronize to with little long-lasting effects on him as a whole. Sasuke is surprised that a summoning contract actually has that kind of effect on the summoner. A distinctly feminine voice echoes in his mind. This contract that Jiraiya Dono speaks of would make it far easier to learn Senjutsu, for those with the capacity for it. The faded look in his eyes when Nibi speaks to him makes the others in the room look at him. Sasuke, are you well? Tsunade asks him, but her eyes are all business. The Nibi spoke to me. It does that sometimes. Everyone in the room straightens up. Is it communicating with you? Omura questions sharply. Yeah, Sasuke doesn't see the problem. It's mostly idle comments from time to time. It said something about the contract making it easier to learn Senjutsu. All eyes turn to Jiraiya, who maintains his stern look. I can't tell you anything about the methods of learning Senjutsu. If word got around on how to do it, you'd have a whole bunch of dead shinobi who weren't capable of handling that kind of power. Just learning it poses a significant risk. Jiraiya refuses to elaborate on the learning method. But the Nibi is correct. The contract transforms the user's body and chakra into something more capable of handling natural energy, but only if they already have the natural capability to do so. It took me 10 years to even start learning and I still can't do it perfectly. Minato was probably the only actual sage in the past 100 years. That alone should tell you just how dangerous it is, and just how much a contract with Senjutsu uses changes your chakra. Regardless, Koharu starts, knowing that this particular argument is a lost point. Naruto hasn't actually done anything wrong, has he? Sasuke speaks up this time. Yes, he is at odds with Naruto more often than not regarding certain things, but maybe Jiraiya-sama is right, and the old coots just need to look at the whole thing more objectively. With the half-truths stripped away, Naruto has proven himself to be a pretty reliable person. Not just as a man and friend, but as a shinobi too. Konoha, with the incident regarding Karin during the Chunin exams notwithstanding, but still reasonably within the bounds of Konoha's agreement with Uchiha, Naruto continues to strive as a Junin of Konoha. Every mission he is sent on is successful. Every subordinate sings praises about him to the friends and families they return safely to. Why even promote Naruto to Junin if he is considered to be a flight risk? Giving control over lower-ranked subordinates would be dangerous if they didn't trust him. If they could give the rank of Genin to the trio of Oto Genin that Jiraiya had recruited, then they could spare some trust for Naruto, who'd been a Konoha citizen for all his life. Unless the truth of the matter ran deeper than trust. Sasuke thinks that some investigation of his own is warranted. Naruto is indeed a capable shinobi and leader, Tsunade acquiesces. But there is one problem. He has openly admitted to being raised by Uchiha Madara, who is most famously known for trying to destroy Konoha. He has also yet to display any tendencies that can be construed as wanting the destruction of Konoha. Jiraiya responds evenly. He gets along well with the majority of the shinobi and civilian populace. He may be selfish, but just look at every other person in this village. Everyone is out to gain something for themselves. That is the nature of people who are ambitious. What is the problem with Naruto gaining power and the acknowledgement of his fellow citizens? I recall that all three of us were the same once Sarutobi-sensei was able to motivate us. The problem is Jiraiya, that if he continues to do so under the circumstances of another ruse in order to rise through Konoha's ranks with no opposition, that he could destroy Konoha's established hierarchy from the inside out. Tsunade communicates Omura and Koharu's argument to him, and I know you don't believe that for a second. Good point. Sasuke thinks. How would Naruto be placed in a position of power in the village hierarchy if he doesn't gain the support of the clans? As a neutral party, he has made it clear since the start that he hasn't been interested in village politics, instead opting for the pursuit of more personal power, and that in itself is also a problem. Koharu retorts. It is said that Uchiha Madara was capable of controlling a Bijou with his potent Sharingan. Naruto is the sole inheritor of that man's genes and, more importantly, one of only 2 people in the world with the Mangekyo Sharingan. He could easily overpower Sasuke's own ability and take control of the Nibi within. One of the only people he interacts with happens to be the container of Konoha's only Bijou as of present. Because we're friends, Sasuke answers with a rhetorical but obvious question. We were on the same team. Yeah, we fight and argue, but we're friends, and you seem to have let that slip by your notice. Sasuke. Kakashi warns him quietly. Omura continues. As a Jinchuriki, you have been placed in a position of responsibility that no other Uchiha has ever been in before. For the sake of all of Konoha, especially that little family that you've been getting close with, you will be required to rein in your clanmate and ensure that he is as loyal to the village as you are. Sasuke narrows his eyes at the mention of Yuito and Hamari. Do you understand, Sasuke-kun? Koharu evidently goes for the kindly old lady facade. What would Naruto do in this situation? I understand, Sasuke answers calmly. Honorable elders, I respectfully say go fuck yourselves. 3 pairs of jaws drop in the room. Tsunade hides her grin behind clasped hands. Sakura, your friends are here to see you. Sakura straightens her red forehead protector in the mirror, making sure her bangs won't flop into her face, and checks the pockets of her Chunin flak jacket for mini stimulants that might help while performing medical ninjutsu in the field. Her pink hair reaches her thighs now, like Naruto's, although significantly tame by comparison to her wild teammate. She honestly doesn't know how he can see right through it. Even a single strand in front of her eyes is distracting enough. That'll do, Sakura says to herself, and makes her way downstairs and to the front door. She's caught off guard by who's waiting for her. Sakura thought that it would be Naruto and Sasuke, her actual friends. Not her classmates. Ino, Shikamaru and Choji. What in the hell? She hadn't spoken to any of them in months. Not since she demolished Ino in the exams. Sakura. Ino bounds up to her immediately. Let's hang out. Sakura blinks confusedly at the out of the blue offer before giving a quick refusal. No. Hey, look, I don't know what you're up to, but I'm busy today. We barely know each other anyway. I'd say no even if I had nothing to do. Sakura. That's no way to talk to your friends. Mebuki scolds. Sakura pays it no mind. She's not the one being suspicious, after all. Come on, Sakura. Choji disgustingly speaks with his mouth full of chips, and Sakura cringes at the thought of the messy spittle that might come out. We haven't all been together since the academy. Wouldn't it be cool to get everyone together again? It's been a year since we were all in one place. We can go and get lunch or something. Shikamaru chips in too, but there is a sharpness to his lazy eyes that makes Sakura's suspicions grow. It makes her carefully consider how to draw out more information from them. And you came to me first. Why don't you go ask Sasuke or Naruto? She knows that Naruto would immediately refuse as well. Probably even laugh in their faces. Maybe try and make them cry. Both he and Sasuke would rather beat the crap out of each other than hang around a bunch of weaklings. Sasuke-kun has an important meeting with Hokage-sama. Ino reveals glibly, blushing at the mere mention of his name. And Naruto. Sama is always busy. Sakura notes the hesitation in which Ino added the suffix that the general populace gave to Naruto when speaking to or about him. She also knows that normal people, especially lower-ranked genin, wouldn't know that Tsunade has a meeting with Sasuke today. She only knew that Tsunade was busy, which is why her current order is to report to the hospital and receive normal tutelage from some of the medics. So how could Ino know that Sasuke would be present with the Hokage? Sasuke sure as hell wouldn't tell anyone. What about the others? Kiba, Shino and Hinata. Kurenai-sensei is taking him out on missions a whole lot. Shikamaru deflects. Not an admission that they hadn't asked, but not confirmation that Team 8 has been asked and said no either. And quat. INR pose. Out on missions all the time too, and quat. Sakura starts to get impatient. And quat. And INR pose. Apprenticed under the Hokage. I don an R pose. T have the time to an R pose. Hang out an R pose. When Konoha needs me now more than ever, as a chunin and a medical shinobi. And quat. Come now Sakura, and quat. Mebuki tries to soothe the impending rage outburst. And quat. It wouldn't an R pose. T hurt for one day, would it? And quat. Ino bobs her head eagerly. And quat. Yeah. And quat. INR pose. Am not going to disrespect the time that Tsunade-sama has put aside to teach me. And quat. Sakura says flatly. And quat. And frankly, I already have friends that I don an R pose. T get to talk to often enough. And quat. You an R pose. VE changed. Sakura. And quat. Ino an R pose. S expression transforms into a scowl. And quat. Ever since you got put on a team with that damn Naruto, you an R pose. VE become a complete bitch. And quat. Ino. And quat. Mebuki sounds appalled and looks equally furious. Sakura loves and appreciates her mother. She probably let them in so that they could rope her into loosening up a bit. It made sense seeing as Mebuki had expressed concern that Sakura would eventually run herself dry if she kept up the relentless regimen of missions and training, but one thing that Ka-san would not stand is disrespecting her daughter. And quat. I think you three have outstayed your welcome. And quat. Mebuki and R pose. S voice conveys her displeasure. And quat. C and R pose. Mourn Ino, this is a bust. And quat. Shikamaru and R pose. S droning voice asks her to leave with him. The three turn on their heels and slowly leave through the front door without so much as an apology. And quat. Bye Ka-san. And quat. Sakura turns to her mother. And quat. INR pose. Sorry honey, I really thought. And quat. Mebuki frowns at her misplaced effort to help her daughter. And quat. Don an R pose. T worry about it. I wouldn't an R pose. T be doing all this stuff if I didn't an R pose. T really want it. And besides, Naruto and Sasuke are the best friends I could ask for. They can even make time for me. And quat. Mebuki shakes her head fondly. And quat. Those two boys have been a good influence on you. You should invite him over for dinner sometime. Kakashi sensei too. And quat. I and R pose. LL try. And quat. Is all Sakura can promise. She leaves through the front door and closes it behind her. Her eyes narrow at the Ino Shika Cho trio, who are still loitering around a few meters from her house. And quat. Next time, I hope you three don an R pose. T bother me at all with whatever scheme you tried today. And quat. She says to them spitefully. Ino becomes visibly aggressive, and naturally Shikamaru and Choji stand at her back steadfast. It an R pose, a laughably pathetic display. Sakura has no doubt that she could mince all three of them on her own. You're missing out on a pretty important opportunity, Sakura. Shikamaru explains and Sakura withholds a roll of her eyes. Look, we're the heirs of some of the most important clans in Konoha, why wouldn't you want to be friends with us? Our clans have connections that could help you get higher up in Konoha's support chain. I'm apprenticed under the fucking Hokage. Sakura shouts in frustration, making them reel back. I literally cannot get any better tutelage. What the hell is wrong with you, you morons? As if summoned by the spirit of coincidence, two of her favorite people pass through the street. Naruto and Karin. Yo, Sakura. Karin greets her joyfully. Healing wench. Naruto's greeting is significantly ruder. Karin, perverted hedgehog. Sakura barely withholds a smirk at the nicknames they've given each other. Naruto's Sharingan immediately hones in on the trio of weaklings. As expected, they cower instantly and take off without a word. Naruto has quite the scary visage. What's the story there? Sakura gives him the rundown objectively, without adding her own suspicions. Naruto hums in thought. Ino Shikaku, I'll keep an eye out going forward. By what you said, they were unusually overt about getting your attention. They're definitely out to get something. Maybe not of their own accord. She's glad that Naruto came to the same conclusion that she did. Anyway, Sakura drags the conversation away from the trio, ensuring that Naruto didn't chase him down and demand answers. How are you? Going with your medical ninjutsu? Not well. I can heal myself without using a jutsu, but my chakra is too corrosive to heal other people. Naruto's brow furrows over his red eyes. I need to find a way to make my chakra have more healing properties without weakening it. That's probably possible, Sakura concedes, walking with Naruto and Karin toward the hospital. Sakura has heard that it's possible to develop more than one chakra nature. With enough rigorous effort, one could transform their chakra over a long period of time to take on the qualities of another nature. Some people like Naruto and Sasuke are already gifted with more than one, but she predicts that it won't be exactly easy for Naruto to adapt his chakra to the delicate nature of healing another person. Whenever his chakra comes out of his body, it's usually to set fire to, blast away, cut, or force someone under a paralyzing genjutsu. I think that it is too. I've discovered at least that healing properties are not bound to elemental chakra natures. I thought that maybe mastering Suiten would give me some inclination, but it seems that it's some kind of physical and mental threshold that I can't get a grasp on yet. Naruto's frown deepened slightly. I'll keep trying anyway. Last 2 times that I tried to heal fishes, one exploded and the other kind of disintegrated. Wow, Sakura is amazed at his ineptitude. I will never let you try and heal me. That would be for the best. And he didn't even clean it up before he left to find another one. Karin points a finger accusingly at Naruto, who smirks in response. I thought someone freaking died in our living room. The pursuit of power is often messy. Naruto nods sagely. Sakura rolls her eyes this time. Anyway, I'm off to the hospital for my lesson. We're heading there too for Karin's eye test. Naruto decides that they should just walk together. Karin does not look so eager. Hospital. She saw through it right away. Shikamaru explains to his father. I expected as much, but the seed is planted. Sakura will relay it to Naruto and Sasuke, who are more likely to look into it. You planned for us to fail. Shikamaru is mystified. His father had seemed so serious about sassing Sakura into being the friend. I didn't tell you my plan so that you would seem more genuine. Shikaku admits readily. So what is your plan? Shikaku carefully considers how to answer. Shikamaru is still just a child, and normal children don't have the aptitude for keeping secrets. Uchiha Naruto is hardly a normal child. I was merely giving a subtle push toward Naruto and Sasuke to take some consideration in how the clans and political factions of Konoha look upon the Uchiha. You're giving out favors now? Shikamaru asks with lazy dubiousness. No, it's definitely for the purpose of making sure that Konoha isn't shaken from the inside out. Shikaku denies having the motivation to help people who are essentially strangers. The Uchiha weren't well liked by certain clans, and the higher-ups seem to have some kind of grudge against them. Generally, some vagrant behavior is overlooked in Konoha if the shinobi or clan member doing a crime is valuable enough to the network, but the Uchiha were very good at their jobs while in total control of the law enforcement. It didn't matter to them how high up a criminal was, only that they were a criminal. Civilians looked on him kinder than most, but even Shikaku had been fed up with constantly having to bail out some of his clanmates after the Uchiha police force had caught them doing something disruptive or generally idiotic. But the Sarutobi clan under Sandaime-sama's rule had always been prime pickings for the Uchiha. The third was always willing to look the other way, but the tension growing toward the Uchiha on the side of the Sarutobi had been palpable. Police sent in to clean up their messes would often find themselves victims of assault, and harming just one of the Uchiha brought the wrath of all of them upon whoever dared to attack their family. Sarutobi would often find themselves in a jail cell for a night before having their charges waived by the Sandaime. That, and being forced to move to an outskirts estate after the Kyuubi attack, was highly suspicious on behalf of the elders. In the outer areas of the village, they could be more easily monitored without other shinobi catching on and spreading rumors that the Uchiha might be being spied on. Sarutobi Hiruzen's greatest supporters had always been the elders that he'd fought with. Their input had been valuable in wartime, but they are human and still suffer from prejudices that could segregate a whole clan of the most skilled shinobi in the village. Shikaku doesn't consider himself to be a particularly cynical person, but there were some lines to be drawn between incidents involving the Uchiha and the political structure of Konoha that were difficult to ignore, and it feels as though there are some missing pieces of the puzzle that is the Uchiha incident. These unusual happenings were part of the reason that he'd initially been hesitant to continue the tradition of having a Sarutobi clan member train the next generation of Ino Shikaku. Sarutobi Asuma was quite the menace when he'd been younger, but Shikaku had given him the benefit of the doubt and entrusted his child to a sensei who he'd come to find out wasn't, and still isn't much of a sensei. TKoW and I learned her lesson from the underperformance of her team. Asuma did not. And despite Tsunade being quite a hardliner when it comes to the correct management of training young shinobi, Asuma is still somehow in charge of an important generation of clan children. It's raising questions, and Shikaku wants answers. Answers that he wouldn't be able to obtain unless a few clans band together in an effort to find out what the hell is going on with the higher-ups. Just don't get in the way of the Uchihas. Shikaku sighs. If I'm right, they'll be hounding our clans for information in the next few months if they get a lead on something that might affect their agency in Konoha. Shikamaru's brow twitches. You're the one who told us to chase down Sakura. They'll be more motivated if someone they care about is a point of interest. Shikaku shrugs shamelessly. But regardless, it seems like I've been neglecting my own training of you in our clan's specialties. It's time to fix that mistake. His son droops and feigns sleep on the floor. I'm too tired. It isn't a request. Karin hates hospitals. The bad memories are at the forefront of her mind as she sat down next to Naruto in front of the eye specialist's room. The smell, the miserable patients and families, the occasional crying and Mama. Young Karin watched a white sheet be placed over her mother. Mama looked so cold. She tried to see Mama, she really did, but the creepy old man grabbed her by the arm and started dragging her down the hallway. Mama, she screams and cries. Silence, child. You have a duty to Kasagakure. You will serve it just as she did. Be proud that she died saving the lives of our shinobi. The grip on her arm is so tight that it hurts. Tears are in her eyes. Mama, help me. She is pulled into a room full of shinobi. Her sleeve is pulled up and her arm is offered to a man with bandages around his head. The first bite on her skin is something unreal. The excruciating pain shoots through her whole body as her chakra is forcibly wrenched out of her control. AEUUGH. MAMAAA. Karin jolts and shoots up to her feet, hyperventilating. She's sweating and picking at her arms. Naruto looks up in alarm from his seat. She starts pacing back and forth, torn between wanting to bolt and staying with Naruto like he asked. Nurse. Naruto addresses a woman delivering results to the box at the front of Dr. Ayashi's door. Naruto-sama, please tell the Ayashi-san that we'll be on the roof getting some fresh air. Oh, the nurse takes in Karin's state and nods without staring. Of course. We'll send someone to fetch you when it's time to get the results. Thank you. Naruto puts his hand lightly on Karin's back and gently nudges her. Karin immediately dissolves into a babbling mess and lunges into Naruto's arms. I need to go, I need to go, I need to go, I need to go. We're going. Naruto soothes, but looks exceedingly uncomfortable. He gives her light nudges toward the fire escape. Is she having a panic attack? Naruto hops up the stairs several at a time when Karin starts bounding for the last door. Karin bursts out the door, breathing the fresh air as if every breath is going to be her last. She drops to her hands and knees and starts dry retching. Naruto has no idea what to do, examining her and trying to get her to talk to him. Unquote. Narpos. Fine, Naruto. Really? Unquote. That did not look fine to me. Unquote. Ayashi thinks that Naruto is too blunt for his own good, and Karin and Narpos' expression twists in something like frustration and annoyance before she deflates. It and Narpos' unusual that Naruto is this overt about his concern, but he probably has a different outlook on people that he cares about. But of course, Naruto has never met a problem that could end in Narpos' be solved by violence, so he and Narpos' probably new to helping or at least trying to help people who don and Narpos' have the same mental fortitude that he does. He gives a polite cough to grab their attention. Unquote. Uchiha-sama, Uzumaki-san. Unquote. Naruto and Karin look up and they and Narpos' somewhat surprised to see him up here, he supposes. But he felt that Karin may be more receptive to the news if she and Narpos' not stuck inside the hospital. He sits down on one of the chairs that the long-term patients use for relaxation and begins the recount of his findings. Unquote. It is as you expected, Uchiha-sama. Unquote. It and Narpos' just Naruto. Unquote. Karin and Narpos' eyesight has indeed been impaired without a degenerative condition. And quote. He holds up a picture of the scans. And quote. You can see here that her pupil is hidden under some balloon-like growths coming from her irides. To be quite frank, it's an Arpos, a miracle that she can see at all. She and Arpos, going to need a new prescription, but my main concern lies in what could have caused this in the first place. Uzumaki-san, do you have any recollection of eye injuries in the past? And quote. Karin shifts uncomfortably but provides a small story to go with it. Unnecessary for him to know, but if it helps her remember what happened then it could lead it to potential solutions. My family lived in a little settlement in the land of grass, but when Kasagakure was recruiting shinobi, they found out that me and my Ka-chan were Uzumaki and tried to take us to their village. My Otu-san, he didn't like that very much. He kept shouting at them that they have no right to take people against their will, and they got fed up with him and Karen's lips curl in and she looks about ready to burst into tears. She manages to hold on for a bit longer. He was just a civilian. I was really young, but I remember they had a rogue shinobi who could spit poison smoke and trap people in giant bubbles. My Otu-san tried to shield me, but that guy just breathed on him and killed him with pink smoke. I was really hurt too, but Mama made me bite her. That's how Kusa found out that people can heal by biting us. Ayashi keeps his composure during her story. He's heard many tragic tales before, but the depravity of other nations truly disgusts him. He finds himself privileged to be born in Konoha. Naruto's eyes change to a strange pattern, and the veins on the back of his hand bulge as he clenches them furiously. I see. You may be able to receive help from a skilled enough medical shinobi to repair that damage, but conventional eye surgery won't be enough to heal damage caused by a shinobi's poison. But that's enough for today. I'll prepare the fees for today's consultation and prescription and send him to your home. Ayashi concludes, knowing that Naruto will handle it from here. Thank you, Ayashi-sensei. Naruto puts a hand on Karen's shoulder, and they both vanish in a puff of smoke. Poor girl. Ayashi looks up at the sky before getting back to work. I'm sorry, Naruto says sincerely to Karin, putting the emotionally exhausted girl down in her bed. I got that after the first 3 times, Naru. Karin smiles weakly. Naruto breathes a frustrated sigh, most definitely aimed at himself. I really thought that I was helping. You are helping. I didn't think I'd have a freaking panic attack in the middle of a packed hospital. Naruto now understands that maybe he's being a bit too pushy in getting what he wants. Sure, he wants Karin to be in good health, but sometimes things just take time to move on from, and he doesn't want her to feel like she doesn't have any choice in the matter. Patience is something he'd never really contended with. He'd hid his power for so long and for a distinct and explosive purpose, so he'd been able to put up with it and keep himself busy in the meantime. It wasn't something that Madara taught him, and the old man had been all too willing to put him through an extremely accelerated training regime due to the predicted time he had left on this earth. Naruto is used to getting his way by being purposely obtuse with people or through raw power. This is a conflict of the mind and the soul, something he has never had to encounter before in a healing, living person. He is caught off guard when Karin grabs his nose. Anyone home? Karin asks cheekily with tired eyes. Just thinking about how little I understand people. Naruto honks helplessly with his nose closed. Karin pulls him by his nose into her bed and suddenly they're facing each other on their sides. Right now Naru, Karin whispers. I don't need new glasses, or fancy jutsu, or these scars to go away. Then what do you need? Naruto asks, wanting to know how to help her. All I need in my life right now is you. She smiles, and in his not so humble opinion it is beautiful. You saved me from that torture. You're my hero, and that's already more than I could have imagined. Just Naruto, not Uchiha or Uzumaki. You're already what I need. Alda, and they both vanish in a puff of smoke. Poor girl. Ayashi looks up at the sky before getting back to work. There is a moment of silence while Naruto digests the only time that someone has actually said they wanted him for more than his power. You kind of do need new glasses. Naruto says awkwardly, which makes her smile. Maybe. She takes hers off to keep her head on the pillow more comfortably. Naruto thinks that maybe remembering the good parts of her life will be therapeutic. What was your Ka-chan like? Karin spends the next few hours telling him about her mother and what a wonderful person she was. She talks about how she remembers how much she loved her father, what she could remember of him. Naruto is pleased when she falls asleep after he patiently listens through everything she has to say, and with a relaxed and unguarded posture. He tucks her properly and returns to his studies hesitantly. My father was a sage. Naruto asks confusedly. You didn't know? Jiraiya said that the Yondawa was the only sage since the Shodai Hokage. Sasuke comes knocking just before the sun sets and gives him the rundown of his talk with the higher-ups of Konoha. Strangely, Naruto doesn't seem surprised to know that he's being targeted and that the elders are attempting to use any resource they can in order to keep him under their control. He's more interested in the not-so-little detail about Namikaze Minato being a senjutsu adept. I wonder why. Naruto's thought trails, internally questioning how Minato could have been given hassle by Obito if he's a master of senjutsu. Well, I suppose if he wasn't actually that good at it, then it wouldn't exactly be publicized to the common folk. Maybe there's some kind of condition that needs to be fulfilled in order to use Sage Chakra, and that Minato couldn't fulfill it while busy with the Kyuubi and space-time wielding baby Madara. Obito had ultimately been defeated at his father's hands, and the Kyuubi nearly sealed away. Taking out Obito could be considered an impossible task without an army, and Minato had done so alone. The Nibi said that taking on a summoning contract could make learning senjutsu easier, but Jiraiya said that you refused on the grounds that a contract can warp your chakra. I did. I'm not comfortable doing anything that might change my chakra when I myself don't know its full potential. I suppose I'll just need to do some more research into myself and see if it's possible for me to use senjutsu without being taught by summoned creatures. Naruto replies, unconcerned about Nibi talking to him. But this asking me to spy on you. Aren't you worried that you're at risk right now? Who knows who else they're asking? Sasuke seems genuinely concerned about the current situation. Sakura was approached earlier today. The current no Shikaku trio, but I suspect that if their parents actually wanted Sakura to spy on me, then they would have been more subtle about it. I think that they're probably not happy about being approached and having their kids do dirty work. That is to say, if they were approached by the same people you spoke with today. Naruto turns to the small hall in his apartment and gives Karin a shout. Karin, I'm going out for a bit, I'll bring dinner back. Get me the usual. Sasuke sees Karin doing pull-ups on a rack attached to the door. He sees sweat roll down her face and her exposed stomach with the training outfit she's wearing. Sasuke swallows at the sight. He feels a cold shiver down his spine as Naruto's always-on Sharingan turned to him. I'll forgive you this once for your stray eyes. Naruto's voice is deceptively cordial. But she is mine. Sasuke nods without hesitation. Best not to anger the most possessive person in Konoha. Good, let's go to a little hidey hole for us Uchiha to speak safely. Sasuke is surprised when Naruto leads them to Naka Shrine in the abandoned Uchiha district and opens the seal under the correct tatami mat. With practiced ease, Naruto seals the entrance behind them and ignites the braziers in front of the stone tablet. I debated with myself whether or not I should apologize to you, but I'm not sorry that I hid the fact that I was in Uchiha. Keeping that secret until the right moment served its purpose of putting me on a podium in front of the world, and now Konoha will be safer if everyone knows that the spawn of Madara is in the light. Naruto is very pragmatic about that particular issue. Yes, Sasuke had been conflicted, but his friend and clanmate has an indomitable will and wouldn't cave to the thought of it being nice to be with his fellow Uchiha. But I will say that going forward, I want to help you become more than what the Uchiha were in the past. I did show you the circumstances of how I came to be, but there are aspects of your biology that you won't be able to run away from. Something that will hang over your head until you either find true light in yourself, or remove the darkness that is the Sharingan. What do you mean, my biology? Sasuke asks, puzzled. The curse of hatred, Naruto states, Sharingan whirling into a different pattern. It is equal parts spiritual and biological. The curse is a manifestation that makes the Sharingan stronger at a steep cost. The Sharingan releases unique enzymes through the body when its user is willingly or otherwise exposed to circumstances that cause negative emotions. The Mangekyo Sharingan, as your brother likely told you already, is the ultimate form of the curse that can only be brought about by the most searing of emotions. Betrayal, loss, death. The more your hatred grows, the more potent this dojutsu becomes, and the more you lose yourself to the curse. Then we're cursed to that fate if we chase more power through the Sharingan. Sasuke does not like the thought of unwillingly turning out like Itachi. That is the case for you. My Mangekyo Sharingan awoke because my body and chakra became strong enough to wield it. The potency of my Sharingan is directly related to the strength of my chakra. I don't need to fear losing myself to anything other than my own stupidity. How can I learn to do this? You can't, Naruto states bluntly. The Mangekyo Sharingan steadily makes its wielder blind, but by taking the Mangekyo eyes of a close relative, you can permanently mitigate that damage. Madara had several younger brothers before the founding of Konoha. Only one of them lived long enough to feel grief at having his people slaughtered by the Senju. The Nidaime Hokage was the one that killed him, and Madara ended up transplanting those eyes into himself, becoming the first person to wield the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. And because of that, you don't have to deal with the consequences of that power. Sasuke believes he's correct in assuming that the path to power is bloody for an Uchiha. That's possibly the reason, but there could be more to it than that. Which is why we're here. Naruto motions to the stone tablet at the end of the room. Naruto looks at it with the Sharingan and quotes one of the lines. Seeking stability, one god was divided into yin and yang. These opposing two acting together obtain all things in creation. The god in question is the god of the Ninshu religion, the Rikudo Sennin. He divided his power between his two sons. The elder son inherited his eyes and chakra, while the younger son inherited his body. The sage wanted his religion to be continued in the name of peace, and chose his younger son to be the leader that guided the world through it. The older son, fraught with rage at his birthright being taken from him, plunged the sons into eternal war. The older brother became the first wielder of the Sharingan, and the Uchiha clan are his descendants. And the younger brother became the first Senju. The curse of hatred dates that far back. Indeed, to the very first of us. But that raises the question, is the Sharingan incomplete without the body of the sage? The answer is yes. Madara divined this truth from the tablet, stealing a piece of Hashirama's power and implanting it within his own flesh. It took decades, but in the end Madara obtained the eyes, chakra and body, and he awoke the Dujutsu of the Rikudo Sennin. The Rinnegan. Sasuke has never so much as heard the legend of the Rinnegan. He only knows pieces of myth, that the Rikudo Sennin defeated a rampaging and powerful beast, and divided that power to the world in order to defeat it. But now, knowing that he'd done so using a unique dojutsu that the Sharingan had been derived from, it doesn't make sense. Sasuke shakes his head. Why would the Rikudo Sennin divide his power between his sons? Because of Ninshu. He evidently believed that cooperation is the key to peace, and probably thought something stupid like forcing his two broken halves of a whole two children to work together would end up facilitating that goal. Or at least, that's my belief. That makes an unfortunate amount of sense, and I am inclined to believe that Naruto Dono is correct. Sasuke files that away for later. Then why don't you have the Rinnegan? The sage had one thing that no other person in history has ever acquired. The Juobi, from which the 9 bijou are split from. You hold a piece of that inside of you. It's likely that the bijou together have overwhelmingly powerful chakra, unmatched by anything in this world. Judging by the progression of my Sharingan, my chakra will need to grow far more powerful in order to awaken it. Either that, or grow to be more universal. The Rinnegan grants its wielder the ability to use any jutsu, regardless of chakra nature of difficulty, as well as many other powers exclusive to that dojutsu. Please let me speak with him. Nibi asks politely. How? Sasuke asks back to his mind, never having tried to speak back to the Nibi before. Trust in me, your body. Do not be afraid, Sasuke-kun. Even if I wanted to harm you, Naruto Dono would soon put me back in the confines of this seal. Will I still be able to listen? As I do, Nibi confirms. Sasuke's sclerae bleed into the heterochromia of the Nibi, and Naruto is alarmed. Please do not fret, Nibi pleads, holding Sasuke's arms up non-threateningly. Sasuke-kun is still here, listening. I wanted to speak with you. About the stone tablet. Speak, Naruto demands, none too pleased about the eavesdropper bijou. I was never aware of this stone tablet. Nibi Sasuke admits, but I believe it was left behind by Hagoromo to Indra's descendants, in the hopes that they would self-correct and return to peace with Asura's descendants. At Naruto's blank look, she explains further. Akatsuki Hagoromo, the Rikudo Sennin's true name. Indra being his eldest son, and Asura being the youngest. Hagoromo raised me, and taught me his religion. He was obsessive about cooperation, and it would not surprise me if he deliberately split his power in order to force his sons to see the best in each other in order to gain more power and influence over their own reality. But that is hindsight, and he was very devout about his desire for peace. He did not understand the nature of a human, for he in all his power could not truly be called human. You are correct, Naruto Dono. His belief clouded his judgment, and therein lies the origin of your people's curse. The Rinnegan should never have been separated, only diluted. Naruto's Mangekyo eyes stay locked on the Nibi, still waiting for the reveal of deception but not willing to let an opportunity pass him by. Am I correct about my own development too? Quite so, you will need to reach deeper within yourself to awaken the Rinnegan. Powerful chakra alone will not be the catalyst for a dojutsu that can create and destroy in equal amounts. You are a Uchiha, defined by your destructive power. You must first learn to create? Your grandfather already had the answer. The Makuten that he stole from Hashirama. Naruto realizes, there may be a sliver of that within me. Perhaps that would be your best starting point. Nibi Sasuke sways on the spot. I do not wish to see more people helplessly consumed by the curse of your people. I want to see this problem that my father created to be corrected. Nibi Sasuke looks down at hers, body. Sasuke-kun cannot handle the influence of my mind in his body for long, so I will be returning to the seal. I am pleased to meet you, and to see that you are ambitious enough to look into yours and your clan's future. Good luck. Sasuke jolts, and it's made obvious by his body language that he's back in control. What now? The dizzy Uchiha asks. Madara ensured that I would have the tools to chase my dreams. Naruto waved a hand out extravagantly. He built this village so that all Uchiha would have that. He instilled fear into all living at that time, making it known that the Uchiha clan is made from resilient and protective people. His guile allowed him to cheat death and return even stronger from it, permanently fixing in himself a disease that has plagued the Uchiha clan since the very first of us. It would be remiss of me not to take advantage of everything he lived and died for. I have my own goal, Sasuke, and now you must find your own way to bring yourself into the light. Naruto looks back at the stone tablet. Amaterasu, the tablet ignites in black flames and slowly disintegrates. I won't let this stone poison our descendants with whispered promises of power. The Uchiha make our own fate. Madara feels his age when his Sharingan sees graying strands over his right eye. After a failed attempt to convince the Uchiha to abandon Konoha, he explodes in fury. Open your eyes. Madara thunders to the Uchiha, and he sees them flinch at his chakra cracking the floor of the shrine. His Sharingan whirls into its Mangekyo pattern in response to his hatred. I have witnessed the absolute tyranny that the Senju will impose on you, if you refuse to learn. I see now that I have shouldered your burdens for too long, and you have stagnated without conflict to strengthen you. Do you think that it's a coincidence that all of a sudden it is no longer the Hokage who picks the air of his position, just when a few gifted newcomers begin to show signs that they are capable of leading? You pathetic, miserable children. Madara paces at the forefront of the shrine. Adult Uchiha are seated before him, sweating in the presence of his wrath. None offer so much as a rebuke. Weak in spirit and in body, there is not a single Senju like Hashirama. There are no other Senju willing to see past their history with us. They would take us by the hand so that their other would sneak into our pockets. Madara's voice drops in volume. I see now that this is not the village of the Uchiha and Senju, and I foresee that this clan will wither away like embers in the cold. Still, not a single protest. Not one person is willing to entertain the thought that they are truly at risk. They grow fat in complacency. One Uchiha female steps down into the shrine. Madara-sama, Hashirama-sama is here as you requested. He nods stoically to Naori, not letting a woman experience the brutality of his simmering rage. All of you leave. I will be giving you one last warning, one that may even cost me my life. And then you will see that without the tools of fear and power, you will whittle away until it's too late. Now go, and suffer. They scamper away like mice from a cat. Hashirama enters the shrine, clad in robes befitting a Hokage. He looks around with something akin to wonder. Madara, what's this about? Madara turns to the stone tablet. Have you ever heard the history of the Rakudo Sennin? Madara is starting to get used to seeing through one eye. It had been a few months now since he'd used Izanagi to revive himself, and just as long since he'd taken a piece of Hashirama's flesh and implanted it on his heart, through the gaping wound on his chest. It took weeks before he could eat without vomiting up some of it. Maybe that was a side effect of actually being dead. His little hideout had been stocked with salted meats, just in case he couldn't find the strength to hunt. Madara puts on a cloak, hiding his sickly pale skin that seemed to take a slight green tinge in certain light. It would come and go like a bad rash. But he learned not to be too vain about it as soon as he realized just how much sustenance that tiny piece of flesh really offered him. He could go significantly longer without water or food. He also cuts his hair down for the first time, leaving only short spikes of salt and pepper hair. A mask with a single hole over his functioning eye is to keep his face hidden. He hides his chakra with the years of practice he'd gotten in while scheming to fake his death, and moves out into the world to see how every other nation is coping with the new shinobi system, a new era of the hidden village. It turns out, they are not coping at all. Madara's death and Hashirama's condition has evidently made waves across the world, and now everyone seems to think that Konoha will be easy pickings. There is a war on the horizon. Now, instead of a few children dying in conflict against an enemy, it's an entire village's children being led to slaughter. The village system hadn't been a cure, it had been an escalation. The land of rain has become a crucible. Previously ungifted and humble tradesmen and farmers have established their own home and become extremely hardy and resilient. Madara admires that they do not hide their hatred of the world that causes them to suffer behind useless platitudes of peace. Step in their borders and you are free game to them. He travels around under many disguises, but the last place he visits is a coastal city where he meets a woman unlike any other. There's about 10 of these Uzumaki, all armed and ready to prevent any intrusion into their home. Ohio, Madara cheers in a high-pitched voice, also in his stupid guise inspired by Hashirama, he likes to think. State your business. The woman orders, short red hair flickering in the wind. She looks quite beautiful with the sun at her back, making her hair appear lighter. I got lost. Madara lies shamelessly. He's barely got chakra at all. A censor among them. How intriguing. I do too have lots of chatura. This is wartime, stranger. The woman does not indulge his childish persona. Trespasses bring trouble. I won't let you or this idiot persona of yours bring trouble to my clan. Leave or die. How about you die? Madara picks up some dirt and throws it in her face. She looks apoplectic while she menacingly draws her sword. My name is Uzumaki Haruka, and you have chosen death. Madara deftly cartwheels back to avoid a flurry of swipes from her blade. Immediately, Uzumaki men surround him with swords poised to strike. Whoa whoa whoa, this isn't fair at all. Madara's head flails around, looking at every possible person to see who would attack first. He ducks to avoid a swipe from behind, with sensory prowess that isn't possible for someone of his projected strength. Kidding, Madara punts him, sending him flying a dozen yards. Their little dance continues. Madara doesn't kill any of them, but he doesn't let himself take a hit. It's all too fun just to humiliate them for trying. It's time for the secret art of the counter-attack. Madara leaps and hangs upside down on a tree branch. The battered Uzumaki stiffen in fear. Ninpu, Eramaki Tokage, ninja art, frilled neck lizard. His cloak falls behind his back while he gives an awkward pose. Madara's fun is ended when an aged voice interrupts before the Uzumaki can try and kill him again. Enough. Of all the people to notice his presence, Uzumaki Ashina orders his kin to stand down. None of you can defeat this man. I cannot defeat this man. He hobbles forward with a cane in hand, beckoning Madara to come down from the tree. Madara does so, wondering if he needs to kill the man to preserve his hidden identity. You are a long way from home, and it seems you've picked up an interesting talent. But you cannot fool my senses. So it would seem. Madara's voice returns to normal, startling the surrounding shinobi at his baritone. Ashina continues without pause. I imagine your travels have not led you to a warm bed. They have not thus far, but I have greater things on my mind than hearth and home. Madara removes his hood, leaving the top of his graying hair exposed. Come and dine with me. I have lost enough sons to this war, I do not wish to lose any more. Least of all to someone who should be dead. You, come as well, my daughter. Yes, Otu-sama. Haruka dips her head. Madara doesn't have any children, but he supposes he gets it. He lost 5 brothers after all, and the rest of the traitors will be dead sooner or later. The Senju will see to that. They walk into their village, built from stone with swirling patterns with the smell and taste of seawater permeating the air. Madara gets curious, looks, but no more than a passing gaze while under his mask. Ashina leads them to his very own home where they are greeted by his wife, who Madara sees where Mito and Haruka get their looks from. She is worn from the loss of her children, and it is something that visibly weighs on her. Please, take a seat. My wife will prepare tea. As you wish. Madara remembers his manners for once, and takes off his mask. His Sharingan and pale eye seem to fascinate the Uzumaki girl. Haruka was it? We will not say a word about your being here, Madara. Ashina says, unprompted, but you appear like an omen. You threw the world into chaos. When you fought Hashirama once more. I have not come to cause trouble. Madara replies, despite his antics. You could say that I'm on a pilgrimage, to find meaning in this world that has forsaken my clan. I'm looking for a reason not to turn it on its head once more. This is surprising coming from you. I never took you as a man to stay at his feet and look around. I was younger then. Madara reminisces, driven singularly by fear and hatred. Fear that my family would be extinguished. Hatred at the Senju for facilitating that fear. I tied my existence heavily to that of the Uchiha clan. Never once did I think of what I could be without them. I guess I'm looking for my own meaning. Trying to find out why I struggled to achieve peace. Ashina takes a sip of his tea. I cannot say that I understand your desire to separate from your clan. Perhaps that is a fundamental difference between the Uzumaki and Uchiha. the Uzumaki and Senju, even. Tied to our blood, not our hearts. You are closer than you realize. Madara does not reveal the truth he divined from the stone tablet, but he does acknowledge that the elderly clan head is exceptionally wise for someone lacking actual evidence in the form of a message from the Rakudo. I admit to you, Madara, your appearance here has given me something to consider. A proposal to you. Kushina seems to appreciate his time and would rather get to business. You must have an interesting proposal. What will it offer me? Madara's plan has already been set in motion. He wants for little as it is. Train the young of my clan, and you will be given a home for as long as you need it. We have been far removed from the rest of the world and I'd have liked to have kept it that way, but this era of the hidden village has spurned into motion a great many evil deeds that will consume us as well. My clan have not been warriors for a very long time, and that is something that must change or else we will cease to exist entirely. Madara toils over the offer for weeks before eventually accepting on several conditions. Chiefly among them is absolute control over the students. He trains, in addition to secrecy regarding his identity. There is to be no mention of his existence at all to Konoha or the rest of the world by letter. Correspondence. If anyone asks, the Uzumaki were becoming strong through trial, not teaching. The students and the rest of Uzushio know him only as Izuna. Training young people helps keep his body moving. He could be wasting away in a cave right now, waiting for his eyes to undergo a transformation. That may or may not actually happen. Again, he orders an Uzumaki boy, demanding nothing but perfection from this new generation. Sweat cakes down the red hair the boy's face. Other Uzumaki boys are similarly battered, but each one has a will of iron. There was no giving up. For them, from Madara's lectures, they understand that everything they know is at risk. Their clan is facing extinction if they do not find their strength. They already have resolve, perhaps that's a blood trait of this clan. The boy is weighed down by sand after Madara had ordered him to swim, then roll around on the beach. He is clearly exhausted but still he persists. The boy unleashes a roar and stomps his feet into the sand. Water molecules begin to whirl around from this sealess jutsu. An upright typhoon forms around him rapidly with more water drawn from the sea. Madara vanishes before their eyes and delivers a hard punch to the boy's stomach. It sends him flying, but still he persists and finishes the jutsu. Suten, Daibakufu no Jutsu, Great Waterfall Technique. Spurned into violent motion by strong Uzumaki chakra, a veritable tidal wave erupts and swamps the beach. Madara smiles and knows that there are no better students to him than talented people who refuse to give up. 3 years pass. Against his will, Madara finds himself growing fond of these fiery people. And in turn, many of them grow fond of him too. Ashina's daughter Haruka is one person who seems to use all of her spare time to use him and further her own strength. She corners him again while he's stargazing and lays next to him, undoubtedly plotting to ruin his night with another 30 demands to teach her. Personally, he has his hands full with the boys as it is, and it's not like a woman could compete with them. Why do you want strength? Madara asks after having not done so for the time they'd known each other. To be of service to my clan. Haruka answers, almost in a questioning tone as if to say, isn't it obvious? Most women your age are rearing children and yet, you have no husband nor suitors. Why is a female so resolute about being a warrior? Haruka looks down shamefully, I have nothing else to offer. I do not understand, Madara goes on tactlessly. A woman of your ability, beauty and status would be considered a rare and sought after spouse. Anywhere else in the world, why not here? I cannot bear children. That snaps Madara's jaw shut. Or rather, if I have a child then, I will most likely die. Haruka remains seated next to him, looking down at her hands. Before these villages started forming, we were attacked by mercenary clans who were paid to clear us out so that the daimyo who hired them may harvest from our bountiful lands and sea. Father returned the favor, naturally. But it was not without cost to us. I was but a baby when our home was gassed with poison from clans that come from Iwagakure. But you survived. Madara states the obvious, given her being here. Haruka nods slowly at the corner of his eye. You already know that we have strong chakra. But there is only so much that we can heal with. Something unrefined is generic healing. When I was old enough to understand, mother and father told me that my chakra was holding my body together, and should the day come that I have to give it to someone else, I would likely perish to keep them alive. I see. Madara nods thoughtfully. It makes sense now, the dedication to feel that she is needed by her people. Her chakra strength is weaker than other females in the clan, but her explanation makes it clear that most of her chakra is being converted into pure life force. In a dream world, this fiery but earnest woman could have her husband and child. But this is not a dream world. Not yet. His mind also whirls with questions. Is it possible to sustain the life force of another by using one's own? What part did the preservation and facilitation of life hold in the growth of a shinobi, whose trade is death? You do not have children? Haruka asks, dragging him from his thoughts. I never thought about it. Madara replies honestly, never once did I even entertain the thought. Most women, even in my own clan, were terrified. Of me anyway. You're not that scary. Madara doesn't reply, and thinks only of how with her persistence, he has fallen under her spell. Madara and Haruka often find excuses to be in the same place at the same time. It is treated with exasperation by the local populace. Two emotionally stunted people not understanding why exactly they enjoy each other's company. He doesn't understand it until Ashina's passing. The man's last words to him are a revelation. Take care of her, Madara. Once red hair is now a stark white. Ashina's croak is weak. You are the best decision I've made, a long wheezy breath. For this village, Madara knows that the man is happy to pass peacefully in his sleep. If only Ashina's sons had been afforded that luxury. I will, Madara promises. Haruka's tear-filled eyes find their way to his chest, and he wraps his arms around her. As someone who loves would. Hashirama's death from mysterious illness marks the beginning of the First Shinobi World War. It is a short war of only a year, but it costs the life of the freshly appointed Nidaime Hokage. Madara laughs at the news, wishing he'd gutted the fool himself. She is shaking fearfully, not at him, but I am with child. Haruka is in his arms again. She is afraid of death. Afraid that she will not be the mother she dreamed of being. I will find a way. I always do. Uchiha Madara's will is absolute, after all. Haruka is screaming and crying in agony and her body refuses the command to stay alive. Madara is getting desperate. He places his hands over her heart. In an instant, his salt and pepper hair becomes bone white and he appears to age many years. He pushes as much of his life force into her as he can. Studying the changes to his body with the inclusion of Hashirama's power has led him to believe that it's possible to exchange life force. If it can be taken, then it can be given. And give, he does. Uzumaki Kushina comes into the world kicking and screaming, to proud and very much alive parents, Uzumaki Izuna and Uzumaki Haruka. Her hair is black as midnight, but Madara is quick to seal away any remnant of Uchiha power in her. No one says a word about his now eerie, ringed purple gaze. Kushina, or his little light, turns 3 quicker than Madara believed was possible. She slams her chubby hands on the table. Baka Hashirama. Haruka rolls her eyes as Madara grins. His wife sways whilst cooking dinner, and Madara catches her before she can stumble. He moves to place his hand over her heart to impart his life force unto her. Don't. Haruka catches it, looking him in the eyes. You can only give me so much time. She's going to need you, Madara. I don't know how I can do that. Madara sighs, knowing that overt displays of protectiveness from him would immediately paint a target on his daughter's back. From the shadows, love. As you have for a great many years now. Mito spends her last days as peacefully as she can, toiling over the fact that she is submitting another person to become an engine of war. The practice of Jinchuriki defies what Hashirama stood for, but survival of the village trumps idealism. The Second World Shinobi War is on the horizon. Punches can no longer be pulled. Tsunade is an unusually curious girl, always looking for answers. The story Mito is telling her in this moment is what inspired Tsunade to become a medical ninjutsu expert of unparalleled ability. If not for the fact that Senju were bred for war, Mito believed that Tsunade could have been another great mind of the ages. Hashirama refused to allow anyone to come with him to fight Madara. It is easy to romanticize the idea that comrades standing together will overcome any foe, but Madara. Mito gives a weak and weary sigh through cracked, aging lips. Even Tobirama refused to go anywhere near that battle until it was over, probably to pick apart Madara's body like a carrion bird. Mito seemed disgusted by the concept and Tobirama's strange propensity for artificially making stronger shinobi, or discovering weakness in those who killed his kin. But still, I went to the battle. The landscape was completely unrecognizable. Shattered pieces of Hashirama's strongest jutsu littered the battlefield. The Kyuubi was in a deep trance, as if it were asleep. I had no idea such a vile beast could look peaceful. What happened then? A younger Tsunade asks curiously. Hashirama and Madara were still fighting. After 4 days, without sleep and without food or water, nothing but the sheer power of their chakra kept them walking. Hashirama was using senjutsu and yet still Madara matched him blow for blow. They were so absorbed in their fight, I doubt they even noticed I was there. I took my chance and sealed the Kyuubi within myself in case Madara figured out how to break Hashirama's hold. Over it, Mito put a hand over where the seal lay. You were just a baby, our granddaughter who'd been born just 1 week before. I couldn't find it in me to give you this burden. Mito smiles at her, so slightly. I was quite young when I was wed to Hashirama, and your parents were quite young when you were born. Your grandfather saw this as something so immensely beautiful that he was willing to cut down his closest friend, so that others besides the Senju would experience the joy of creating life without fear, to revel at the gift of parenthood instead of detaching in case our children die. But if Ji-sama won, why did he die? Because he didn't win. He tied with Madara. I stumbled back to the fight with my body heavy with chakra that didn't belong to me. Hashirama killed Madara through trickery, but you can't outfox the fox. Madara used all his strength while dying in the cold river to pull his chain blade into Hashirama's back. Tsunade wisely stays silent at her grandmother's tears and shaky voice. There weren't any jutsu that could heal him, back then at least. Only, delay the inevitable. That side that nearly took his arm off and had gone right through his lungs. Tobirama tried his best, but in the end Hashirama had naught but a few years left. He let Konoha democratically select Tobirama as their new leader, and spent his last years with his family and mentoring the new generation. I wish he'd lived long enough to meet Nawaki. He has a similar soul to his grandfather. Mito sniffles, but Tsunade admires how dignified her grandmother still looks. I was too old to seal the Kyuubi within myself. Tobirama figured it out. The best way to seal this beast is within an Uzumaki, but one whose chakra system hasn't fully grown and developed yet. Any other bijou and I would have been fine, but this one is an entity in its own class. And now, it eats away at me from the inside, always clawing and scratching to get out. Uzumaki Kushina will be here soon. I've heard she's something of a little monster herself. Maybe this creature will find its home in her. Tsunade chooses not to broach that topic. Naori-san never mentioned that about Madara. She says instead, of course not. Mito's lips twist in a grimace. Uchiha are all the same. It seems there is still quite a bit of bitterness toward him about the death of her husband. Before becoming the vessel of the Kyuubi, you must be filled with love. Yeah, so when do I get the Kyuubi? The wicked, power-hungry smile on Kushina's face does not ease Mito's heart. I had hoped that Uzushio would send someone more understanding of this burden. Should have thought about that before demanding something like a replacement human being from your former clan, Senju bitch. The elderly Mito is struck by the vitriol of her niece. Haruka sends a letter to her beloved daughter that her father had passed when in truth, he was by her bedside as she left the mortal plane. A grand funeral is held for both he and his wife, Uzumaki Izuna and Uzumaki Haruka, to find their peace in the next life. The death of his wife and use of his daughter by Konoha have reawakened a darkness in him that he had thought buried. Madara takes periodic trips throughout the world, testing his Rinnegan in secrecy. The Gedo Mazo is proven as a real entity when he summons it from the moon. The strange white organic goblins spawned from the statue are sent to recover any spare Sharingan from the battlefields. While returning from one such trip, he discovers that Uzashigakure has been massacred by 3 of the great nations. There are few survivors. Most Uzumaki wore Juin that would destroy their bodies before letting them be used by enemies. The Uzumaki was still a small clan, and despite their near-overwhelming strength, they could still fall to numbers. The bodies of men that he'd taught since they were boys are scorched and unrecognizable skeletons filling the streets of his proud and cultured home. The few survivors flee to every corner of the world, using the tricks he taught him to stay hidden in the shadows. Madara, even with his lack of mobility in his age, calls upon the power of his legendary eyes to slaughter every last scavenger like the vile pigs. They are. Izuna-sama, an Uzumaki woman, sobs in relief at his presence. A red-haired babe in her arms as her outsider husband supports them both. This cursed and evil world has decimated these beautiful people. I have a favor to ask of you, dear Fuzo. Anything. I am too old for these eyes to be of any use to me now. I want your son to bear them for the sake of our clan. Until I walk the earth again to reclaim them. Madara's cunning smile is hidden as the broken Uchiha boy returns to the graveyard hideout. Tell me about your plan. Obito demands, his bloody visage determined. The Eye of the Moon plan is set into motion once more, and the name Uchiha Madara is passed down to someone young and capable. Black Zetsu is spawned from his wool, but only given the absolute critical memories required for the plan to succeed. A sentient clone of himself that could gain self-awareness at any point with his memories would be very bad for Kushina's ongoing existence. He uses his scavenged Sharingan and brings himself back to live out his final days in observation of his daughter. Or at least he had hoped. Kushina's death is his own fault. He caused this. He caused the death of his own daughter to chase a dream instead of fixing reality. He may very well have doomed the world. There is only one hope left. How about we make a deal? If you can master this new exercise before the day is up, I'll come back and teach you a ninjutsu tomorrow. Naruto visibly shakes in excitement. Chapter 12 start. Two figures clad in black and red cloaks look upon Konoha Gakure from under their straw hats. Feeling homesick, the larger of the two asks with a distinct grin. Red eyes savor the view of their owner's home. Not at all. They slowly make their way through the village. Suspicious glances are a bounty, most likely the result of having been attacked not 6 months ago by enemy nations. For two people to stand out as much as they are right now would be idiotic, least of all for people who are meant to be gathering information in enemy territory, but the Akatsuki is broadcasting a message to the people that they interact with in any capacity. Those who fight them, those who attempt to interrogate, and those who see from the sidelines what they're up to know to spread word of unnaturally powerful shinobi wearing black cloaks, decorated with red clouds. We are here, we are strong, do not defy us. It is a simple message to a world governed by power. Together, the Akatsuki can topple nations. If people like Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame are the ones taking orders, then what does that say of the monsters with the strength to control them? This organization works in the light and dark simultaneously. The goal is the capture and containment of the Bijou, but for what purpose Itachi knows not. Akatsuki has been established as a mercenary faction, operating as hired muscle for esteemed and rich clients in secrecy. Some consist of daimyo, others being the greater shinobi villages. Guaranteed success is hiring the Akatsuki, and therein lies the beauty of the manipulation. All they are to the world are mercenaries, hiding their true purpose while gathering intel on the whereabouts of the true goals. This secrecy is a strength of the Akatsuki, but Madara is a fool if he thinks Itachi won't exploit this. Once they are inevitably confronted, Itachi will drop the hints about scouting for Jinchuriki and Bijou. Capturing multiple Jinchuriki and Bijou and containing them long enough to seal them one by one is simply not possible, not even for the strongest shinobi in the world. Senju Hashirama may have been able to accomplish such a feat, but if Uchiha Madara himself and the man with the legendary Rinnegan still need days, maybe weeks at a time to seal the Bijou into the Gedo vessel, then it speaks quite clearly that the process is arduously difficult and requires a large number of powerful shinobi to assist them. Itachi had questioned why Madara didn't just capture them in one fell swoop and keep them contained on his own. My battle with Hashirama left me broken and a shadow of my former ability. The masked man speaks factually and clinically. The sealing will require a great deal of time. Only an incredibly powerful wielder of the Rinnegan or the Makuten can control that many Bijou and Jinchuriki at once, and that time invites the nations that those beasts belong to stop our plans in motion. We do not know where all of the beasts are, nor have we sown enough chaos to make it easier to capture them. The Bijou must be sealed in order to prevent the vessel from being damaged. Another weakness of the Gedo Mazo that Madara confirmed carelessly. The Bijou must be sealed in order, and that is part of why he and Kisame have been sent to Konoha, to confirm who the Nibi and Kyuubi Jinchuriki are. Word spreading throughout the nation says that Konoha is in control of the Nibi once more, but the Jinchuriki is unknown. Madara suspects that the Kyuubi is sealed in the son of Uzumaki Kushina and Namikaze Minato, and that the cover was that it had been sent away by Kushina-sama's powerful Fuinjutsu. It is refreshingly naive that you think your Yondawa defeated me. Madara's voice conveys a smile, even if it is hidden. He may have injured me and caused me to flee to recover, and I suppose that is a testament to his ability. But who walked away from that battle alive? Itachi-kun. The masked man left the battle early, so even he doesn't know where the Kyuubi is. But still, not Namikaze Naruto, not Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Naruto. How could anyone have missed this? How could Madara attack his own daughter? Although thinking about it, Madara also slaughtered Uchiha children in their sleep a few years prior. That alone speaks of his depravity. Of his own depravity, that he would volunteer to cut down his mother and father. How about some sweet buns, Itachi? Kisame asks as they near a shop, dragging him from his thoughts. Itachi says nothing but enters the quaint little restaurant, the low flaps dragging on his hat. Although he'd like a hearty meal for a change, stores like this are full of people mingling and talking about happenings in their vicinity. A waitress approaches them with a pen and pad in hand, held up above a heavily pregnant belly. "May I get you anything, gentlemen?" The waitress gives them a practiced smile. Kisame spouts off an order on both of their behalves, knowing that Itachi isn't fussy. He throws in some tea for good measure. "Your village seems to be in high spirits, young lady." Kisame puts on his best friendly voice. "We were worried when we heard that Konoha had been attacked. We didn't think outsiders would be allowed in at all. Ignoring the fact that they hadn't just been let in, they snuck in like rats in the walls. It was a terrible day, she sighs sadly. Many lost their lives, but our shinobi are the strongest in the world. Tsunade-sama is working very hard to make sure everything gets back to normal. We've had some bad luck over the last couple of decades. Oh, that's right, a terrible incident with the TKoW happened, right? Kisame keeps it up. For such a brutish man, Itachi had never suspected he could be so sly. Yes, apparently the TKoW was sealed in a woman before that day, and when it came time for her to give birth, it escaped and tore up our village. I was scared for my life, but apparently Yondawa-sama tried to seal it in his son. Tried? Was it too strong? More like Yondawa-sama's wife was too strong. She didn't like what her husband was going to do, so she kind of puffed it away. Like a shinobi trick. It hasn't come back to haunt us, so I guess whatever she did worked. That's a relief, Kisame sighs with a fake, unconcerned shrug. At least I know I'm not gonna be eaten by some giant fox monster today. Hamari, have the gentleman ordered? A voice from behind the bakery register calls out. Hamari rolls her eyes in exasperation. Yes, dear, they were just asking about the recent happenings in the village. She turns to them both sheepishly. I'm sorry, I'll get your order ready right away. Kisame gives her a dismissive wave. Not a problem, my dear, thank you. The two Akatsuki share a discreet nod, knowing that nothing of actual value was gained from that conversation. It could still be a ploy. The TKoW may still be sealed in Uchiha Naruto, but unless they get close to him, they won't be able to tell from his chakra if he's a Jinchuriki or not. Itachi and Kisame sit and eat patiently, silently hoping that the woman will come back with some more recent updates from the village. Sasuke makes his way to see Yuito and Hamari before going home. Jiraiya had been instructing him to never train in the use of the Nibi's chakra, unless supervised by him, Naruto, or the strange Anbu that could apparently suppress Bijou chakra with the rare Makuten Kekkei Genkai. Naruto had been badgering him to let him know whenever Tenzo was watching him, most likely to observe the Makuten in action to unwittingly help him train in it. Sasuke is the only one that knows what Naruto is up to, seeing as he's the only one that knows that Naruto is trying to see if he can build a Makuten chakra nature using remnants of what is inside of him already. He thinks that Karin might suspect what's going on, although it could just be passed off as another of Naruto's eccentricities that he's suddenly bringing home pots with soil and bulk sachets of plant seeds. He walks under the flaps of the bakery to let his, well, he doesn't know what to call them yet, but he trusts them, and maybe even loves them a little bit. Yuito, Hamari, I'm home. He pretends not to notice the two strangely dressed, silent customers at their own table for two. Sasuke, Hamari waddles over to him immediately and snags him in a hug. Out of the corner of his eye, he sees the shorter one stiffen ever so slightly. How was training? Come, sit down. It was fine. Naruto thinks that my training is going by pretty quick because I'm compatible with Nibi. And besides, he made the seal, so I guess he knows what he's talking about. He hears a rattle and his eyes are drawn to the mysterious duo in the bakery. He sees a blue hand holding a wobbly cup of tea, under a pail and shaky hand that dropped it. Hamari seems not to notice it with civilian senses. I suppose. Hamari is ever fretful, not understanding shinobi techniques and culture, but always puts first what she can conceivably understand. And that is the safety of those she considers her own. And besides, putting up with the 9 lives and pussy jokes is harder than the training. Nibi is nicer than Naruto is. Hamari narrows her eyes when she hears Yuito cough to hide a laugh. Her head cranes around mechanically and Yuito hides his grin quickly. Sasuke-kun, those men. Sasuke's eyes return to the cloaked strangers, only to find that they aren't there at all. There's a small wad of cash to pay for their meal on the table. Strange folk. Yuito comments idly. Get help. Now. Naruto grins wickedly. Karin is unimpressed. That's it. In a little pot is a bonsai about the size of her pinky finger. I grew this today. Naruto's Sharingan gleams in pure excitement. It's tiny. Karin shoots him down, or tries to. It's progress. Naruto jumps to his feet. Can't you see? I have the Makuten. Anai-chan grew a plant. The only person whose opinion matters leaps to his defense. Naruto smirks. Damn right I did. Naruto turns to face his adorable, sweet baby sister, only to see Kakashi and Shizune standing behind her, gawping. There's an uncomfortable pause while Naruto thinks of some bullshit to wheedle his way out of admitting that he has the Makuten. Monako ignores this and inspects her Anai-chan's plant. I actually bought it like that. Naruto tries ineffectually. Kakashi's deadpan expression is outlined on his worn mask. I saw you grow it just now, and you said that you have the Makuten. You were all under my genjutsu from the moment you set your eyes on me. No, we aren't. I also heard your careless language in front of my daughter. Shizune gives an equally monotone response. Naruto's eyes narrow. Name your price. Babysitting duty. 2 months. Done. Loud, rushed knocking on the door interrupts their little playful spat. One of Naruto's Kage Bunshin that had been hiding in another room, studying medical ninjutsu, goes to answer it. I still think breathing fire and making a huge skeleton monster is cooler than growing weeds. Karin provides her unfiltered opinion. What if I grew you some flowers? Naruto asks with what he hopes is a convincing, innocent smile. Alright, show me. Kakashi feels like what he's seeing is an eerie recreation of another time. A younger Kakashi watches his recent mentor confront the brutal redhead from UZU. I've mastered a jutsu that will be instrumental in defeating you. Minato-sensei looks increasingly crazy as each day passes. Kushina-san is unimpressed. Show me. A kunai whizzes past her head at a speed that little Kakashi couldn't even comprehend. Sensei suddenly appears behind her, sweeping her up in a bridal carry. She looks surprised. Her mouth is hanging open ever so slightly, with the tiniest tinge of pink on her cheeks. Before she clobbers him in what outsiders would call a deathmatch. To the people that know them, it's courting. Kakashi snaps out of the memory and observes Naruto. He watches as Naruto places his hands together in a tight cup shape with his fingers pointed forward. Naruto takes a deep breath, looking unusually calm and at peace. His Sharingan rove over everyone in the room, particularly at Karin and Minako. Life. Naruto whispers to himself, finding some meaning in the single word to drive his spiritual chakra forward. Nothing happens at first, but then they watch as tiny roots form between the gaps in his hands and inordinately larger, green stems with buds on. The ends sprout at the top. The buds begin to bloom, and Kakashi will admit that he finds himself a little struck to be the witness of something delicately beautiful coming from such a violent person. But even when creating life, death is ever present in Naruto's heart and mind. They seem to be balanced. Never was there an Uchiha that could do something like this. Black roses. The symbolism is not lost on him. Karin doesn't seem to understand it, but this time she's actually impressed with the romantic gift, and takes them from his giving hands with a stunning smile. Naruto is delightfully embarrassed. They're so stupid and oblivious. Shizune sighs fondly. Yep. Kakashi smiles. Naruto. Sasuke barges in from the door after apparently being roadblocked by Naruto's clone, which dispels Kakashi too. Kakashi and Naruto both straighten at Sasuke's serious tone. The Nibi told me that these two foreign shinobi are really powerful. They're skulking around the village right now, we need to find them. Powerful foreign shinobi seems to be an ongoing issue with Konoha as of present. She says that one of them has as much chakra as you do, Naruto. That can't be right. Kakashi is not inexperienced with the unexpected, but Naruto has more chakra than anyone in Konoha. Naruto stands up with crimson eyes glimmering ominously. Maybe we should investigate. Itachi takes control of the administrator girl using his Sharingan. He forces her to use the intercom to speak directly with Tsunade. Tsunade-sama, Uchiha Itachi is here to see you. She speaks as if it's an everyday occurrence. Guard the door. I'll get information about the Jinchuriki myself. Itachi orders Kisame. Hey, you're pretty confident, Itachi-san. Kisame chuckles. His rage is simmering. He can feel it in his eyes. Itachi doesn't let it show on his outside persona, and perhaps he's allowing his emotions to control him like so many in his clan before him. Sasuke is the Jinchuriki of the Nibi. He opens the door, coming face to face with Tsunade and her elderly advisors. There is clear and blatant fear on the faces of the advisors, and Tsunade is tense, knowing that if it truly came to it then she would not be able to defeat him alone. And then he slams the door shut behind him. Why is my brother a Jinchuriki? The terse demand that is hardly a question spurs Tsunade to provide a quick response. Sasuke willingly became the Jinchuriki after the Nibi was used to assault Konoha. Tsunade answers, and there is something very careful about her words that Itachi does not agree with. Do you understand how much this compromises my mission? Itachi narrows his burning eyes. I will do anything to protect him, but even I cannot protect him from the Akatsuki leaders, both of which are stronger than I. At which point did you think it would be acceptable to make my brother a Jinchuriki when the most powerful criminal organization in history is hunting the Bijou? Tsunade's hands clenched tighter together. It was not by choice. Sasuke was the only person in the vicinity that could safely contain it during the invasion. The person that sealed it couldn't seal it in themselves, so they took the next best option, which Sasuke volunteered to do. Regardless of your love for your brother, Konoha has not stopped moving forward in time since you left. The life of a shinobi is tumultuous, you know this better than anyone. Itachi takes note of the deliberate way she doesn't include the sealer's gender, but it matters little given what he learned at the bakery earlier. Uchiha Naruto, perhaps I should have a word with him. Her eyes narrow. You'll regret that wish. There is a bright flash of blue light outside the Hokage's office window. A massive construct with glowing yellow eyes moves its arm and a punch is rapidly approaching the glass panes, making the light blue glow. Unbearable to look at, Kisame bursts through the door. Itachi-san. Itachi morphs his Sharingan into their Mangekyo state and yellow chakra rushes up around him. Tsunade grabs her two advisors by their robes and leaps out one of the windows, smashing her head through the glass without injury. There is only a second before collision. Naruto, Sasuke and Kakashi leap at incredible speed across the rooftops to the location of the powerful shinobi. The Nibi points Sasuke in the general direction, leading Naruto to sense more precisely where they are. The Hokage Tower, Naruto speaks aloud over the rushing wind. Nibi is right. One of them has a suit and affinity with enormous chakra. The other, he cuts himself off with a clenched jaw. Naruto, Kakashi's tone is short and clipped, wanting to know about the other intruder. The other one is an Uchiha with the Mangekyo Sharingan. Sasuke falters, Sharingan whirling into life in response to negative emotions. Itachi, he breathes. They had been that close to his family. Both of you get close to me. Naruto orders, not giving Sasuke any time to think. His eyes transform into their Mangekyo state. Susanoo, they quickly become nestled in the stomach of the imperfect Susanoo. It tramples though the streets as everyone leaps out of the way. Shinobi, quickly fall in line and follow Naruto's creation, knowing that this is too serious not to drop everything. Naruto makes his approach, sensing the precise location of his target in Tsunade's office and knows he needs to make a decisive move to protect. The Hokage, the fist of his Susanoo launches through the windows and collides with something that doesn't budge an inch. His eyes widen. What in the hell could stop his Susanoo? Naruto focuses his Sharingan, seeing the bright yellow chakra blocking his punch with a massive shield. I see. He mutters aloud. Itachi's Susanoo ability must stop all frontal damage. He wonders how much it can withstand before breaking. The two rogue nin make several synchronized leaps to the Hokage mountain, running east on it to make a quick escape. Yasaka no Magatama, Naruto summons 3 Magatama in each palm of his Susanoo, sending them flying erratically at each side of Itachi to prevent all of them from being blocked. Sasuke scurry changed to the Nibis, creating his own jutsu with its chakra. Katen, Kasha Hosenka, Kasha Phoenix Sage Fire, blue, almost decorative flames flurry out of the Susanoo in a combined assault. The blue shark man weaves his way through several signs before spitting out a veritable tsunami. Suten, Dai Bakasui Shoha, great exploding water colliding wave. The colossal tidal wave absorbs all of the force from Naruto's Magatama, stopping them in the waterfall that's now tipping into the village. Sasuke's fireballs fizzle out despite the Bijou chakra. With the villagers now at risk to the rushing waters, Naruto is forced to abandon his pursuit of the criminals and join the efforts to contain the water. The water descends rapidly over the academy, and Naruto wills his Susanoo to drop Kakashi and Sasuke down. He rushes and stands over the academy and hears the panicked screaming from the children. About a dozen of the shinobi that followed him to the Hokage Tower all slam their hands on the Hokage mountain in unison. Doton, Doryuheki, Earth-style wall. Walls sprout out of the mountain, forming a bowl of earth over the academy and the water crashes into it. Naruto knows that it won't hold long enough to save the students and teachers and makes his Susanoo squat under the bowl, holding it up with its back and arms. The pressure of the lake and stone strains him as he struggles to maintain form. The knees of his Susanoo buckle. He really only has one option left. Naruto has never tried before, but lives are on the line. Tsunade barks orders at the Doton shinobi, telling them to make an aqueduct as soon as possible. She doesn't know how long Naruto can hold up a lake on his own, so she seeks to drain the water to the border of the village and evacuate the academy and surrounding area. She watches as Naruto falters under the strain before a massive upswing of chakra hits the senses of every sensor type in the entire village. The light blue Susanoo glows even brighter. Plates move along its skin as it grows larger and larger. A hood shaped like a dragon swallows the head of the construct and transforms it into something distinctly different to before, menacing gold chakra in its fiery mouth under a long demonic nose. The bald being grows swaying hair with twin locks on either side clasped by bands. And then a pair of majestic wings unfurl, spreading wide and holding up the lake on their own. Naruto's Susanoo settles into a kneel and is now unfazed by the immense weight on its back. In the jewel on its forehead, Naruto resides patiently. At first, then he becomes less enthused. If you don't mind, I have places to be fools. Get this damn lake off of me. A day passes from the utter chaos of another attack on Konoha. Naruto is present in the meeting room of the Hokage Tower while repairs are made to Tsunada's office. Jiraiya has returned after mingling with some of his sources one town over to see if Itachi and Kisame had been present at all. Kakashi, Sasuke, the Shinobi Council and elder advisors are all congregated in the same place. The God Ava brings everyone's attention to her. The Akatsuki is our discussion point today. We have managed to confirm that this criminal organization almost exclusively consists of S-rank Shinobi, and that their goal is the capture of Jinchuriki and Bijou. The two confirmed members are Hoshigaki Kisame, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, and Uchiha Itachi from our own village. We don't have an accurate time frame for when they actually start hunting the Bijou. Shikaku speaks up, giving his opinion on the situation. All we know is that this was a scouting mission to confirm who the Jinchuriki of the Nibi is, and if we had any other Jinchuriki in our possession. Sasuke nearly sneers at the word possession. Naruto openly gives his own statement. We can no longer retaliate against Kumogakure and Orochimaru. The chaos of war will make it far easier for the Akatsuki to mobilize and capture the Jinchuriki. Current grudges need to be settled unless it provides a pathway to intel about the members of this organization. The more Bijou they capture, the more powerful they become. Theoretically, Sasuke is no longer safe in Konoha. Jiraiya states he needs to be taken away in case more members of the Akatsuki come to capture him. He'll need to be on the move until we get an estimation of when they'll start their operation. Absolutely not. Koharu objects. Sasuke must stay in Konoha where he has the support of the village to defend him. Omura continues. Keeping Sasuke here is inviting more chaos. The ease at which they nearly killed the academy students is proof of that alone. If they bring even more members with destructive abilities, there won't be any shinobi that can defend him, least of all against Itachi who may be stronger than our Hokage. Naruto refutes stoically. The passphrase to the detection barrier around Konoha will also need to be updated. Tsunade sighs, rubbing her forehead before looking at Sasuke. What do you think of this? Sasuke doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to go right before his honorary family has their first child, but he doesn't want him to be used against him if he stays. Sasuke trails, unsure of what to say. I'll take him. Jiraiya offers. I can keep an eye on the seal and train him in the use of the Nibi's chakra on the road while we gather information about the Akatsuki. Do you agree with this, Sasuke? Tsunade asks tiredly. There's a brief pause before his hesitant response. Yes, I agree. Jiraiya puts a hand on his shoulder. Come on kid, say goodbye to everyone because we need to go as soon as possible. The sage ruffles Naruto's hair. Good luck kiddo, I'll see you when I see you. You too, old man. Naruto turns to Sasuke, putting out his arm. Sasuke clasps him by the forearm, looking disappointed at the result of this meeting. I'll see you, Naruto. Yeah Sasuke, I wish things hadn't turned out like this. You were starting to become bearable. Likeable even. Sasuke smiles wryly. I wish I could say that you're bearable, he says, to which Naruto smirks. I hope you kick yourself in the balls on the way out the village. Naruto bids him farewell. Kakashi gets his word in before they go. I'm proud of you Sasuke, more than you realize. I hope your journey is safe. Thanks, Kakashi-sensei. Sasuke grabs him by the arm as well, not knowing how to state just how important Kakashi has been to him over the past year. Sasuke and Jiraiya leave, and it's back to business in the meeting room. I'm going to request time away from the village as well. Naruto begins. My destructive power cannot be practiced or refined here. I need space to prevent anyone from being at risk. Because of your Susanoo, Tsunade cuts in before her advisors can shoot it down. That, but also because of this. Naruto weaves a snake seal. There is only a brief pause before a tiny tree with black leaves grows on the end of the round meeting desk. Gasps echo in the hall. Tsunade gapes, and not one person mentions her emotional visage. Sasuke's throat is tight when he visits Hamari and Yuito. Sasuke, Hamari asks softly, I've come to say goodbye. His voice gets hoarse. They're a group of powerful criminals who want the Nibi inside of me, and I need to leave the village for a while to keep everyone safe. Oh honey. He breaks down against his will. Sasuke spends the last of his time in Konoha with his family. Karin, we're going on vacation. Sweet, let me pack my stuff. I need to say goodbye to my baby sister anyway. This is it, huh? Sakura tears up. Team 7 is assembled at the main gate of Konoha. Naruto is cuddling Minako, but when she proves inconsolable, he manages to pass her back to her glistening-eyed mother. Don't worry Sakura. Naruto gives her that ever-cocky smile. We'll be together again. This is just the life of a shinobi in our age. We do what we have to. I know. She wraps her arms around her beloved teammates. You two better not forget about me. Never, Sakura. Naruto and Sasuke speak in unison. See ya, Sakura. Karin bids her goodbye as well. Bye Karin, take care of this reckless dummy for me will you? Naruto rolls his eyes as Karin nods solemnly. They all turn and leave. Naruto and Karin split at the road, and give one last wave to Sasuke and Jiraiya. A week passes and Naruto uses the fist of his Susanoo to smash through an inconspicuous area in a vast field with tall grass. He and Karin drop down into a small stone lair. Naruto pushes open the crypt in the middle of the room and takes an object out of it. Uchiha Madara's gunby blasts the dust out of the tomb. Chapter 13 start. 2 years after Naruto and Karin's departure from Konoha, it's the beginning of the end of the world as we know it. Madara's voice is almost like a lance through anyone's confidence. His self-assuredness of everything he speaks of is so absolute that he can make the impossible sound like child's play. Pain does not like Madara. The prophetic wisdom of the century-old madman had correctly determined that the world would indeed remain in eternal conflict. The freedoms granted to those with power to rule over the weak and make them suffer is unjust and wicked. Something truly evil lies within the core of shinobi culture. The ancient Uchiha had warned them in the past and they hadn't heeded it. Yahiko's death was an inevitable happening if they'd continued to chase Jiraiya's pretty words of peace, and they'd fallen into it foolishly. Yahiko's dream lives on, but it has shed the weakness bound to it by the philosophy of peace through understanding. The shinobi world would never truly be free from endless hatred unless ruled with a fist and will so mighty that even a god could not twist fate to change it. Pain hates Madara for planting the seeds of this mess within him. He hates how right the man has always been. He despises him for dragging him away from his ideals and showing him the dark truth of the world. Pain's mind has been irreparably changed and he knows it, but can't for the life of him see what was ever good about what they've been trying to do so many years ago. But a god in the making cannot falter. It is far too late to whimsically think that perhaps there is a good in people that can be used to bring peace. There will always be evil souls that cannot accept transcend their desire forevermore. He is a fledgling god. He has not come into his own power yet. That is the only reason that Madara still secretly has the reins. Pain is but a child compared to the legendary prowess of a virtually mythical warlord. But it wouldn't an Arpos last forever, and soon Madara would understand that things will go the way that the god of pain desires them to. If Madara defies him, then he will regret opening Pain and Arpos' eyes to evil in the first place. And quat, you know what to do. And quat, Madara and Arpos' every action is an order to those who interact with him. Whether it be a patronizing finger wag or slippery double-meaning sentence, no one dares to refuse him. Yet, Madara vanishes into the rain and lightning of a Megakure and Arpos' overcast sky. Out of the corner of his eyes, he sees Konan give a tiny slouch of relief. Pain activates his communication jutsu and soon every member of his Akatsuki is spiritually present. And quat, Akatsuki. We are now a mere few months from enacting our plan to capture the Jinchuriki and Bijou. Make your final preparations. And quat, Zetsu and Arpos' dual-tone voice chirps and growls. And quat, we figured out who an Arpos' good for getting the Jinchuriki. Listen closely kids. Pain Sama agrees that the teams are appropriate for your tasks. And quat, Deidara and Sasori will be taking the Ichibi. And quat, about time, and quat. Deidara gives a dramatic hair flip that can barely be seen through the holographic lens of Pain and Arpos' jutsu. Pain continues without pause. And quat, Hidden and Kakuzu, you will continue to search for the Nibi Jinchuriki. Do not engage it while Jiraiya is present. Underestimating that man will result in failure. And quat, K, and quat, Hidden practically spits. And quat, some old war relic shouldn't an Arpos' underestimate the power of Jashi and quat, shut up Hidden. And quat, Kakuzu nearly snarls in annoyance. And quat, Kakuzu you damn dirty heathen. And quat, enough. Pain orders stoically. Some of them he'd recruited himself and they now know to listen when he speaks. Predictably, silence echoes. Itachi, Kisame, you will go to the east border of Tsuchi no Kuni and capture the Gobi Jinchuriki. We have received information that his training in the use of the Gobi's chakra has ostracized him from Iwagakure, so he is hiding somewhere in the mountains. Pain cannot see Itachi's face, but he knows there is something dangerous lurking in those eyes that are oh so similar to Madara's. Like a cornered animal ready to fight, Madara has promised to keep him in order. Understood, leader. Kisame speaks for the pair of them. He drolly gives out the order that they are not to engage the Jinchuriki until the previous one is sealed. The fate of the world is banked on this plan. There can be no room for failure. Land of hot water, forest outskirts. Karin doesn't like it when Naruto is frustrated. She knows that he gets frustrated when he hits a block in his training or anything else that's important to him. Everything shinobi related came to him with ease, with the exception of the ability to heal. His prowess with the Makuten had excelled, his Sharingan more refined than ever. His taijutsu was so monstrous that she honestly doubted anyone could defeat him in the art at this point. But the things that he couldn't do really mattered to him. He sees her scars as his personal responsibility, and for some reason that she can't comprehend, resents himself for his failure to help her. There hadn't been anything that he could not conquer through his sheer will. Not once did he give up trying to master Senju Hashirama's jutsu. Never did he pause in his pursuit of mastery of ninjutsu. He never stops believing in himself, even when the chance of him being successful is too his mind low, and without hesitation or fear of rejection, he'd asked her on their first date. The best day of her life, though he insists there are more to come once they're finally home, away from the brutal training regime he's putting the both of them through. Once he's confident that her battle senses are refined enough to protect herself without his or anyone else's help. Success is what drives him, and now he has met something that he has struggled to find even a smidgen of success. So she had been immensely happy to discover that his month-long moping mood had been completely destroyed after they'd gotten into a fight with Orochimaru's henchman of all people, although it had taken a few days to discover why, and even now she didn't really understand. Naruto had rattled off on a ranting lecture about chakra interconnectivity that had flown over her head, but it seemed to perk him up so much that she couldn't help but smile at his improved confidence. "We finally found you, fucking shithead." The absolutely lovely and polite pinkish red-haired girl. "Unfortunately you're too late to receive an autograph," Naruto drolls boredly. "Please refrain from using expletives, my interviewer won't be able to record the contents of our conversation." He gestures to Karin, who rolls her eyes at him winding up his opponents like usual. "Very funny, dickhead." Karin inspects the girl. Well, old enough to nearly be an adult at least. Her chakra is almost poisoned, threaded together with a vile entity similar to the other three chakra signatures dotted around them. Their chakra rides in synchronized restlessness, not battling its hosts as much as tempting them, as if the chakra is whispering to them, begging them to let it take control. The face of this girl is as restless as this chakra. Dark bags under her eyes, her greasy hair led Karin to believe that she doesn't take much time to take care of herself. Cracked, pale lips and numerous creases on her skin are just a few features that make her look deprived of the self-help that she looks like she needs. And she's twitchy, although that could be a side effect of finding Naruto, a chakra monster in human skin. Orochimaru's pets? Naruto drones without care. "I suppose it makes sense that you were looking for me. Your owner is too scared of Jiraiya and the Nibi to go after Sasuke, so he thinks that I will be a suitable replacement for his perverse goals." The gunbai strapped to his back clinks slightly, tied to his back around his waist with white fabric attached to the hilt. "Although I suppose that as weak, pathetic and sniveling he is, of course he will seek out my power. He has a long history of failure, and I'll be glad to give him his last." His taunting has a predictable effect on the rabid and unprofessional strike team. Two more equally gruesome-looking men leap out of the trees, and the third remains up in the trees. Deathly pale skin and sickly appearances are a bounty, but their demeanor is self-assured. They are truly delusional to think that they might be capable of defeating Naruto, but there's an unusual synergy between their chakra, and Naruto is seemingly curious. "I'll give you some space." Karin leans up and pecks her enormously tall boyfriend on the cheek. "Don't take too long, I'm getting hungry." She vanishes from sight, leaving only a small pile of leaves floating peacefully to the ground. And a gigantic arrow where she'd been standing. "She's getting quite adept with my substitution jutsu," Naruto comments, seemingly to himself. He inspects the arrow briefly and sees that it had some impressive velocity to bury itself nearly completely into the earth and leave a web of cracks. A song on a flute begins to play out, and Naruto feels the chakra trying to manipulate his own. He finds some amusement in it. Such weaklings wouldn't be capable of affecting his chakra, not when he has finally perfected his control of it. Naruto leaps back into the air, deftly jumping over the tall orange-haired one as he tries to take a shot at him from behind. "It might take more than that to catch me." Naruto's mocking rendition of an encouraging tone resounds loudly. With his refined sense, he ducks under another arrow. "That was close." The smile in his voice is equally clear. "Just fucking transform already." The redhead screams at all of them. Without a hand seal or cue, the Sound Four are engulfed by the vile chakra produced from the Juin. Their physical transformation is something fascinating, but more so is that they seem to be drawing strength from each other as well. Their chakra resonates, not unlike his and Karin's do, when they're in a good mood and in close contact with each other. It is a phenomena that Naruto had originally chalked up to the natural resonance between them because of their Uzumaki lineage, but these shinobi are making him think that there might be more to it than that if they can artificially extend a bond to people of completely different blood and chakra types. Orochimaru's Juinjutsu, I finally get to see it in action. Doten Kekai, Doro Domu, Earth Release Barrier, Earth Prison Dome. A two-story high earthen dome forms around Naruto, dense and blocking out all sunlight. He feels the tug on his chakra, trying to drain it from him. Ghostly and demonic phantom worm-like creatures sprout out of the ground. The many mouths bite at Naruto and he feels no pain, but notices that they attempt to grab his chakra and pull it out more viciously than the Earth Dome is. He smiles, understanding their little game. Drain him of chakra, to make it an easy capture, but they should be fully aware that they would need to come at him with intent to kill if they want him brought to. Orochimaru, the snake should have come himself. He might put up a fight before Naruto skins him alive. Naruto uses only his willpower to drag his chakra back into himself. Something like this is juvenile compared to the powers of the Rinnegan, his current goal to awaken. He sinks into the ground like it's not even there. The four on the outside observe the dome impatiently. It's not working, Jirobo mutters, hands buried in the dome. He's not giving up a drop. Let us in, Jirobo. He can't fight us and hold on to his chakra. Seiken stands ready, now separated from Yukon and both in their fully transformed states. Seiken and Yukon run into the barrier of earth and it lets them slip in. Unknown to them, Naruto observes this interaction and how the jutsu didn't need to be deactivated in order to let in the similar chakra wielders. The inside is pitch black, but the twins' experimentally enhanced eyes allow them some clarity. Not that it did him any good seeing as Naruto isn't in the damn dome. Kidomaru is still perched in the tree when Naruto's head rises out of the branch. He doesn't have a moment to speak when Naruto's Sharingan forces him to stop. Sharingan, Fusekoi, malfeasance. Kidomaru tries to scream out to them and protect them, but the arrow fires at Tayuya before he can muster any control over himself. But as it turned out, he didn't need to. Tayuya was already sending her Doki summons his way as soon as he was put under the Genjutsu. Not only that, but the rest of the team launches into action too. The barrier falls and they all converge on his location. Naruto is now more curious than ever. I'm positive that they couldn't all have sensed me in the tree. This is just a tiny Makuten Bunshin. He lets the Doki shatter his wood clone and observes silently, close but with his chakra clamped down completely. They have no idea that I'm here, so they don't have any sensory prowess that goes beyond feeling my chakra. Naruto assesses their tactics, but as soon as I put the archer in a Genjutsu, they all knew where I was. Naruto places a hand on the branch he's standing on and subtly moves some chakra under the redhead's foot. A small stick pokes at her foot, unnoticeable to anyone but her, but the archer is leaping away before the girl is. Does their curse mark make them have some kind of chakra hive mind? It could be plausible. The marks all emit the same chakra but take unique transformations tailored to its bearer's chakra nature, manifesting as a variety of body morphing. None of them have the same horns, skin tone and strange marks. But Naruto doesn't know of any chakra besides a Bujus that can not only serve as an extrasensory connection between a number of skilled shinobi but also physically transform them. And he knows for a fact that this strange and powerful chakra is not that of any Biju. Theoretically, he could apply this knowledge in his attempts to heal Karin's scars. By resonating his chakra with hers, he might be able to take advantage of her own special chakra and force it to heal her on his behalf. A union between their chakra could share the qualities of it. Of course, his chakra would completely swamp hers, but the theory is there for him to attempt. Now, if only he can figure out what this strange chakra coming from the shinobi is. There is a tinge of Orochimaru's foulness in there, but it mostly seems to be some kind of augmentation that boosts the power of its wielder. The Sound Four are jittering on the spot, always in motion or using ninjutsu or genjutsu, like they're afraid to stand still. Well, Naruto just so happens to have the tools required to test them. He grabs his gunbai, channeling sharp wind chakra to its edge and gives one wide swing. The Sound Four have a mere second before a colossal gale of wind erupts from behind the trees. A wide net of wind chakra spreads outwardly, with tangible blades wisping around in it erratically. Tayuya is hit first. Her flute shreds into pieces while tree trunks and branches are sent flying at her. The concussive force blasts her away and she receives deep cuts on her enhanced skin before she can get out of the cone of effect. Kidomaru tries webbing himself too, but it proves ineffective. Against the gale, Jirobo proves to be the best at blocking it, creating a thick earthen wall that the razor wind only cuts through so much before being halted. The conjoined twins in the ground merge, and while they're cut up the most, it's what happens next that gives Naruto's theory more validity. He's gone again. I can't feel him, Spider Guy reveals. He crafts a new flute from his hardened web with practiced ease and gives it to the bleeding redhead. Taiya barks out that she needs healing, and Naruto observes in fascination as Seiken and Yukon start healing themselves rapidly. The three other shinobi have no healing chakra nature. Naruto has discerned as much with his mind's eye of the Kagura, but they all start healing at exactly the same pace. You four are quite interesting. Naruto's voice calls out to them, hidden under the debris of trees made by the veritable typhoon. Come out and fight is fair and square, you cocksucker. Taiya screams at him. Be careful what you wish for. This is your chance to flee and live another day. I can't guarantee that I won't kill you once you're at my feet and defeated. Naruto would kill them, of course, but he can be merciful if they choose to leave of their own accord. Orochimaru-sama does not permit failure. Seiken and Yukon speak in eerie unison. What is Orochimaru compared to you? Naruto nearly coos to them. You could be so much more than just his slaves. All you need to do is take that power from him. Think of a life without slavery, without the suffering he inflicts on all those who have the misfortune of being associated with him. The freedom to choose your fate is the gift a very wise and powerful man gave humanity long ago. Do you think him to be a god? Do you think that he will not discard you when it suits him best? He sent you to die by my hands, to be nothing more than a distraction to gauge my power. Live for yourselves and you will truly be greater than he could ever imagine. Naruto feels the curse mark's power completely drown out their own. As he suspected with Sasuke's mark, it affects the mind too. Shut up, you damn piece of trash. Jirobo seemingly loses his restraint and draws power from his allies for a ninjutsu. Doten, Domu Garemu, Earth Release, Earth Prison Golem. The Earth Golem is much larger than he was expecting, possibly rivaling the size of his half-body Susanoo. It would have been more impressive if the orange-haired one had created it with his own strength, but Naruto supposes that when he breaks it with ease, it will be demoralizing for this little motley crew, said group of which are all perched on its shoulders. It stomps forward, with the redhead's humanoid summons being beckoned by her new flute to attack him once more. How sad, Naruto sighs, rising up out of a branch and stowing his gun by. He catches an arrow fired at him with nothing but raw strength and throws it with the same velocity at one of the doki, killing it and dispelling it for good. He forms a snake seal. Makujin no Jutsu, Wood Release, Wood Human. A wooden hand sprouts from the land to block the Earth Golem's punch. It does so effortlessly, and the rest of his Wood Human begins to rise as well. The chubby humanoid of wood is far wider and distinctly more muscular appearing than the Doten creation. Without pause, the wood creature crushes the earth with veritable ease. No one said that he could use the fucking Makuten. Naruto smiles at that. Of course no one did. But importantly, his wood human is unusually strong against the golem. In fact, it seems to be ravenously eating the chakra of the golem. He picks up the details with his Sharingan. The Makujin's arm had grown ever so slightly and black leaves hung off of tiny twigs that Naruto knows that this jutsu doesn't create. Only two types of chakra interact with the Makuten this way. Naruto narrows his eyes. If it's not Bijou chakra, then it must be. Orochimaru is nothing if not a skilled scientist, it seems. Naruto comments idly, but now that he knows the secret to the power of the curse mark, there's no point in leaving this lot alive. Bastardized senjutsu. All this time, this curse mark had been a fragment of Orochimaru's power and a weak, easy to produce senjutsu mode. That's why they resonate so well with each other, because they're all using the same pool of power. The curse mark seems to be designed to provide the benefits of senjutsu chakra to those without the capacity to learn true sage mode. If he can discover the condition at which sage chakra is normally absorbed, then he may just have a clue on how to finally learn how to use it for himself. The creepy jitters that the four are exuding may be the clue that he needs. Makuten, Makuryu no Jutsu, Wood Release, Wood Dragon. Using the terrain, Naruto forces the fallen trees to meld and become massive serpentine dragons and chase the Oto shinobi around. He only manages to capture Taiya, but he calls that a success. The dragon returns to him, slithering up the Makujin. The mouth of the dragon becomes a strong set of stocks to hold her completely still. No, Taiya screams and tries to flail, but Naruto only tightens its grip on her to prevent any movement at all. Tiny branches worm into her mouth and nostrils, even keeping her eyes clamped open to stop her from blinking. For a moment, she is completely still. Naruto keeps his Sharingan on her while the Makujin bats away the other three's attempt to retrieve her, and in that moment he finally understands why his father didn't use Sage Mode against Obito. Her Doki dispel instantly. She absorbs Senjutsu chakra from nature and it proves too much for her weak body to contain. She turns to stone and dies. The resonation between the other three weakens. Naruto's wicked smile is one of a man who has apparently made the greatest discovery of his life. Teiya's stone statue is released by the wood, and it collides with the ground, shattering into pieces. Jirobo, Kidomaru and Seiken, Yukon all give a final and insignificant stand against him. Without any further use of them, Naruto cuts them all but the big one down. You're too late, Jirobo reveals, curse mark receding as he spits out blobs of blood. You'll cooperate with Orochimaru-sama whether you want to or not. I see. Naruto is unconcerned. So your owner wants to use Karin against me. He knows that I like to fight alone and thinks I'll give my body to him. To save Karin. How naive do you think I am? I wouldn't have let Karin out of my sight if I didn't know she was capable of escaping. Naruto cleaves his head off with the wind-sharpened edge of his gunbai. Karin's face clearly shows her displeasure at the delay. Kabuto respectfully keeps his distance. Or rather, remains vigil in case Naruto decides to end things quickly. Now, Uzumaki-chan. Orochimaru soothes. I'm sure that Naruto-kun will be happy to give me what I want in order to protect you. You are his one weakness, after all. Naruto's already got a girlfriend. Me. So maybe you can go find Jiraiya and beg him to take you back. How crude. Perhaps you will be more agreeable in my custody. Senei Jashu, hidden shadow snake hands. Karin weaves around the many snakes sprouting from his shoulders with enviable grace. Two golden chains sprout from her back. Sekyujin, red yang formation. Crimson chakra forms between the two chains, wobbling like a flag in the wind between them. The chains sweep around and completely disintegrate anything that comes between them, including Orochimaru's snakes. That is a Hokage level barrier jutsu, Orochimaru observes with a sickly smile. Getting around the need for several strong shinobi to cast it is no easy feat, and yet you trivialize it with your special chakra. Naruto has trained you well. Knowing that Orochimaru's snake-style ninjutsu would be an ongoing problem, Karin creates 7 more chains and plants them in the ground. Around the both of them. The red yang barrier shapes like an eggshell, and using these anchors, she supends herself between them before elongating all of the chains until she's well over 50 meters above him. There is a great cracking noise as the chains connect under the surface of the earth, separating the arena from the rest of the ground with the extremely powerful barrier. Sekyu Torakago, red yang birdcage. Karin announces, and wills the barrier to close in on the Sannin. The walls get closer slowly, threatening to obliterate him. Magnificent. Orochimaru praises, seemingly genuine this time. He leaps onto the barrier, but launches wind chakra off of his feet to propel himself off of it before he can touch the aggressive red shield. Orochimaru does this several times, getting closer to Karin. Karin responds by twisting the barrier as if it were a kink in a hose, completely separating herself from the Sannin. With no more options, Orochimaru is forced to allow a snake to swallow him whole before they are consumed entirely by Karin's jutsu. The snake dispels, taking Orochimaru with it and away from the realm of humans. Kabuto summons the very same snake on the outside of the barrier. Marvelous, truly, Orochimaru says, leaving the mouth of the large snake. They observe the barrier externally as it dissipates, before the extremely long spider leg-like chains start crawling their way over to them once more. She wouldn't catch him again, of course, seeing as this mode of transport appears to be no faster than running. But it does make quite an intimidating image when he knows how he could have been defeated by that barrier. At least it appears that the chains cannot sprout more chains off of them. Orochimaru takes off at blurring speed and runs up one of the chains. He is careful to keep on the outside of the effective field for her jutsu. Futon, Kazakiri no Jutsu, Wind Release, Wind Cutter. Karin weaves numerous hand seals. Oscillating waves of sharp wind chakra pulse down all of the chains in dense halos. The Sannin hurdles over them with his unnaturally flexible legs, rapidly approaching Karin long before she can retract the chains. Futon, Shinku Tobakomu, Wind Release, Vacuum Dive. Karin plummets to the ground using Naruto's jutsu. Too late, little Uzumaki. Orochimaru taunts, elongating his neck and shooting an extending blade out of it. He hears a terrible shrieking noise far too late. Futon, Rasen's Hurricane. From the ground, a wildly spinning wind jutsu is thrown upwards and whizzes past Karin without touching her. It detonates in the air and creates a massive ball of grinding and shredding wind chakra that Orochimaru simply cannot comprehend for the time being. His blade pings off of the violent ball of chakra before the shuriken bisects him through the middle. The one half of Orochimaru's body that isn't turned to fine dust and gruel sails down to the ground with wide eyes and lands with a wet slap. Naruto catches Karin in a bridal carry and sets her down. "Thanks, Naru," she mutters, sucking in her lip as she comes off the adrenaline high of fighting a freaking Sannin. "Don't let down your guard just yet." Naruto keeps his eyes on Orochimaru's fallen body, keenly watching as he seems to draw chakra from nothing, before regurgitating another version of himself from his mouth. "You continue to surprise me, Naruto-kun." Orochimaru licks his lips with his long tongue. "It seems you've even mastered the jutsu that your father could not. I would have died if I were anyone less." Naruto pays attention to Orochimaru's rising chakra reserves, seemingly absorbing it from nowhere. Too bad he knows better now. The special link created between Orochimaru and the bearers of the curse mark allows him to draw power from them at any point. It's not just a discount Sage Mode inducer, it's designed to provide aid to Orochimaru whenever he needs it. If there is synergy between bearers, then it stands to reason that Orochimaru can exploit it better than they can. Perhaps Naruto can exploit it if he has a chat with that Chunin exams proctor. No, it's time to end Orochimaru once and for all. For too long he has been free to cause trouble, and he will continue to be a nuisance if Naruto doesn't put him down now. Oh please. Naruto nearly rolls his eyes. Too late for flattery. "Kikuku tilde," Orochimaru asks audaciously with a chuckle. Naruto punches the ground, shattering it open with barely any warning. He drags Kabuto out by his neck and holds him up by it. "I still haven't paid you back for the Chunin exams. You had potential and yet you wasted it with this creature." "Hey," Kabuto chuckles as well. "Maybe you just don't understand loyalty, Naruto." Kabuto's chakra scalpel flares to life and Naruto lets it hit his chest, above his heart. "Predictable," Naruto mutters in contempt, before the wood clone unravels into many flexible but strong branches that wrap Kabuto from head to toe before he can even react. "Makuten," Orochimaru exclaims in excitement. He looks ready to froth at the mouth from the mere thought of possessing Naruto's body. A light blue sword erupts out of the ground and skewers Orochimaru. He vomits himself out of his own mouth again, drawing power from the other curse mark bearers across the world. Finally understanding that Naruto is not to be taken lightly, Orochimaru kicks things off. Madara no Jin, formation of 10,000 snakes. True to its name, thousands of snakes appear from Orochimaru's mouth, seemingly replicating and surrounding him. Naruto rises up out of the ground, half-body Susanoo armed. "Get going, Karin." "Right." Karin dashes off at full speed as opposed to the leisurely walk that got her entangled in a fight. Naruto considers his course of action. He places his hands in another snake seal. Makuten Bunshin. Two of his own head appear out of his broad shoulders, each with a matching pair of arms. Snakes slam ineffectually against his Susanoo but still try to slither underneath. Each head and pair of arms weaves a horse seal and lets chakra flow to their lungs and throat. Katen, Goku Mekyaku, Fire Release, Great Fire Annihilation. Three great walls of flame blot out any further attack against his Susanoo, but while the visibility is low, Orochimaru has taken his opportunity to ramp things up even further. Naruto reabsorbs his wood clone appendages and braces for impact from a large purple snake summon, Manda. "Summoning me for one measly brat, you're pathetic, Orochimaru." Manda chastises viciously. He is no ordinary child. The Sannin narrows his eyes. Naruto smirks. Maybe Orochimaru can provide some kind of ample challenge after all. In Konoha Hokage Tower meeting room, a small assembly of Junin are discussing the next Chunin exams. Everything had been proceeding fairly normally until out of nowhere, 1. Matarashi Anko started howling in pain and grasping her neck. She's dry retching and crying by the time everyone in the room comprehends what's happening. Matarashi, Tsunade leaps out of her seat. She's diagnosing the Takubetsu Junin before he's afraid, Anko rasps, curling into the fetal position with strain. "Who's afraid?" Tsunade asks immediately, finding chakra loss in her but with no obvious source. Anko wails but says one word before passing out. "Orochimaru, get me a Fuinjutsu specialist, now." Land of hot water, border forest. Naruto laughs joyously and Orochimaru does not share his appreciation of the battle. The full-body Susanoo stomps forward and meets Manda's. Attacks blow for blow, punching away the snake when it gets too close and throwing it off whenever it gets a tight wrap on the light blue engine of destruction. Naruto is still suspended in its belly, while he weaves a tiger seal. Katen, Goku Meshitsu, Fire Release, Great Fire Destruction. The flamethrower of enormous proportions touches the ground and Madara is forced to stop his attack. The flames burn at the feet of the Susanoo, while Naruto remains unharmed and protected by it. Perhaps we need to prepare a new assault, Orochimaru suggests with a scowl. Now would be the time if you have any bright ideas. Orochimaru waves through a summoning. Kuchiyosa, Sanju Rashomon, summoning, triple Rashomon. 3 gates block the line of sight between Madara and Naruto. Naruto's grin is near face splitting. He clenches his fists and wills his Susanoo to grow in power. Behold, Orochimaru, my perfect Susanoo. It grows to the point that it dwarfs Madara entirely, with a wingspan probably equal to Madara's full size. Naruto rises up to the jewel on its head and unleashes a swing of unparalleled destruction. It smashes through the Rashomon with ease, but the concussive damage alone is surprisingly not enough to stop Orochimaru's creative collaboration ninjutsu. A giant sword of Kusanagi sprouts from Madara's mouth, begotten by the same principles that he used to abuse the bond between his subordinates. Naruto bats it away with the left arm of the Susanoo, but the Kusanagi shrinks instantly and spears out again. Show me what a master of snake-style ninjutsu can do, Naruto shouts. Another snake seal forms from his hands. He's toying with me, Orochimaru sneers hatefully, feeling fear for the first time since Tsunade had foiled his plans 3 years ago. Makuten, Jukai Kutan, wood release, deep forest emergence. Innumerable massive roots form a bowl under Madara, lifting him up to the eye level of Naruto's Susanoo. Madara tries to dive off the cradle of roots, but Naruto quickly draws his other blade and sends another wave of cutting force. The snake summon's head falls to the ground before its entire body dispels. Orochimaru decides now is a good time to disengage. You're not getting away, Naruto taunts, taking flight with the Susanoo and swiping with such force that the air drags Orochimaru back down to the ground. Kabuto realizes that the likelihood of Orochimaru-sama surviving is little to none. The shockwaves caused by Naruto's Mangekyo Sharingan power have freed him, but even he knows when to quit. Uchiha Naruto cannot be defeated by them right now. It's time to cut his losses and learn to survive on his own, as he always has been. Naruto retracts his Susanoo and pursues Orochimaru on foot. He is gaining on the Sannin quickly, but he knows that given enough time, the pathetic snake will simply absorb everything left from his marked subordinates. He dashes towards him and slams his fingers into the ground, hissing red chakra speeding towards his enemy. Uchiha Karenjin, Uchiha Flame Formation. You didn't learn from Karin's mistake, Naruto. Orochimaru hisses. I can simply reverse summon myself out and live another day. Famous last words before light blue chains pierce his feet and anchor him to the ground. Orochimaru spots flicking chakra at Naruto's feet, making it known that's where the chains are coming from. Fusei-koi, malfeasance. Naruto mutters, dominating Orochimaru's chakra control with his own oppressive energy and holding him still long enough for the Uchiha to get close. The Sannin watches with gritting teeth. Stop this, you fool. You would kill me for Konoha, a village that reviled your mother for protecting you. You call me the fool, but you brought this upon yourself. Naruto's self-assuredness has Orochimaru shivering. I might have even left well enough alone if you hadn't brought Karin into this. But you've been a thorn in my side since I had to flee from you the first time we met, and I do not take kindly to an insult against me like that. Kyaku Fuin, contract seal. Naruto slams his open hand against Orochimaru's chest. Orochimaru looks up. What did you do? Exactly what the jutsu is designed to do. Naruto smiles. It prohibits you from receiving help from summons or from anything else that requires a transmission of chakra to or from another being. No clones. No summons. Just you and me. One last ditch is what Orochimaru gives, regurgitating the Kusanagi and attacking Naruto with it. Amaterasu. The only things left behind are the Sannin's head and his precious sword. 20 minutes later, Naruto catches up with Karin and they finally make their way home to Konoha. Yuck. Gross, Naruto, get that thing away from me. Naruto swings Orochimaru's head around and his elongated tongue slaps Karin on the forehead. I'm gonna kill you. In Konohagakure, the hospital. She's stable, Tsunade-sama. Sakura breathes a sigh of relief when the inexplicable convulsions finally stop. Tsunade is still watching Anko closely, the curse mark in particular. Her eyes widen when it starts to peel off of her skin in dead clumps of sickly purple chakra. Oh my god, she trembles. Tsunade-sama, what's this? Tsunade turns to her apprentice. The mark. If it's gone, then that means the person who gave it was sealed before they died. They have no anchor to come back to, so it's disappearing on its own. So that means Sakura is stunned, as are Anko's friends checking on her condition. Orochimaru is dead. Uchiha Naruto. Age, 16. Threat level, S rank. Affiliation, Konoha Gakure no Sato. Officer status, Junin. Known relatives, Namikaze Minato, father, deceased. Uzumaki Kushina, mother, deceased. Uchiha Madara, maternal grandfather, unknown. Status, Uzumaki Karin, partner. Appearance, fair skin, thigh-length spiky black hair parted to cover his right eye. Sharingan active at all times. Muscular physique, approximately 195 centimeters. Tall, typically seen with a high-collared black coat. Bounty issue, Otogakure, 65 million Ryo. Kumogakure, 50 million Ryo. Iwagakure, 62 million Ryo. To be paid on delivery of proof of his capture or death. Reason for issue, Otogakure, assassination of the leader of Otogakure, Orochimaru. Kumogakure, none provided. Iwagakure, none provided. Kekkei Genkai, Mangekyu Sharingan. Makuten, Uzumaki body and chakra. Combat capabilities, Katen and Futon mastery. Taijutsu master, suspected control over all 5 basic chakra natures. Barrier ninjutsu, Fuinjutsu specialist. Chakra masking technique, enhanced sensory prowess. Combat warning, flee on sight. Only engage with large numbers and by surprise. Do not engage with intent to endure. Uchiha Naruto's chakra capacity surpasses all known Kage. Do not look him in the eyes. Jiraiya feels his knees give out and he drops the bingo book given to him by one of his spies one town over. I think it's high time that we make our way home, he says breathlessly. Jiraiya-sensei, Sasuke questions, holding a stick with a fish on it up to his mouth that had been cooking on their fire. Knowing that Jiraiya has been shaken, Sasuke opens the marked page and chokes violently on his bite of fish. Kakashi sips his sake benignly through his mask. Everyone assembled at the table in the restaurant is annoyed that he has somehow managed to circumvent the common thought that he'd need to take the mask off. Shizune bites her lip in not so disguised amusement. They're having a little get-together for Anko, who demanded a celebration at being free from Orochimaru's curse mark. Weeks of investigation and diagnosis yielded no result, but with Anko in a better and happier mood than ever, they were happy to let her treat him to one of the more classy joints in Konoha. That's bullshit, Anko accuses, finger pointed directly at him. Ara, Kakashi drawls, eye curling up in amusement. I'll take the damn thing off myself. Anko leaps over the table, only to be held back by Kurenai, Genma and Guy. Shizune giggles and leans on his shoulder. Looks like she's had too much tonight, judging by the flushed look. The glance she gives him makes him grateful that Sakura is babysitting tonight. Kakashi leaps up, however, when the door to the restaurant is slammed open by Hayate and Yugao, both looking deathly pale. What's going on? Anko slurs drunkenly, displeased at the interruption of her late guests. Hayate passes the dog-eared bingo book to Kakashi first. The copy Nin scans over the page before looking up with a shaky hand. Kakashi, Guy asks, looking concerned. He passes the book to Anko. With trepidation, Anko takes it. Her mouth is moving but not a sound comes out. There's a minute of worried silence before Anko picks the jug of sake. Here's to you, crazy bastard. No one tries to stop her. Take my hands, Naruto says softly after promising not to chase her around with Orochimaru's head. Karin does so, sitting with her legs crossed in front of him. I'm glad that we encountered Orochimaru. It was revealing about the nature of chakra, and now I understand what exactly the religion of Ninshu is. Using our gift of chakra to create, not to destroy. What's going on, Naru? Karin asks him, letting the warmth of his large hands engulf her own. Listen, Naruto says quickly, listen to my chakra, listen to it echo within you, and yours within me. Karin tries to indulge him. She feels phantom tingles in her eyes and on her skin. Do you trust me, with your life, always? Karin hisses at him for daring to question her devotion to him. Good, because this might sting a bit. Naruto takes a deep breath. Pure white chakra engulfed them both. Anokyoku Seisei, life force rebirth. Karin blacks out. She wakes 3 days later with a worried Naruto hanging over her head. Naru, Karin rasps and Naruto gives her a bottle of water. Are you alright? Any pain? Blurry spots in your sight? Are you itchy? Yes, no, no and no. Karin responds confusedly, her hand slapping out clumsily to get her glasses in the same spot that she always puts them. Only to see that they aren't there. Only to see perfectly that they aren't there. No blurry blobs. Perfect clarity. She touches her face and finds that no, she isn't already wearing them. What? Karin whispers. Karin leaps out of bed and runs to the motel room mirror. She cries and cries some more. In her eyes, she sees 2 perfectly normal scarlet irides, complete with a black pupil in each. And she truly breaks down when she sees on her skin that there is not one single bite mark. Karin doesn't make mention of his ringed, metallic purple gaze. Chapter 14 Start. Tsunade Sama. 2 familiar chakra signatures have entered the barrier, but they haven't been tagged with our formula. The head of the sensor division presents his findings to Tsunade. Description: Tsunade asks, obviously not wanting to act hastily if they're just 2 returning shinobi that haven't been exposed to the new detection barrier yet. This is usually the case, but given the infiltration by the Akatsuki 2 years ago, she needs to review any intel and ensure that no one is at risk. We believe that they may be Jiraiya Sama and Uchiha Sasuke. Both have large chakra reserves, and one of them has a powerful seal inscribed on them. The division head pulls up a scroll report, showing a rough copy of the 8 trigram seal that had been used to contain the Nibi. He pulls up a second scroll, showing a number of generic seals used to contain items, one of which is labeled Research. Tsunade's brow twitches nearly unnoticeable, but she smiles slightly. Alright, send in 1 team of Anbu and make them report to the sensor division first so they can get tagged with the passphrase. I'll meet them there. Understood. The division head dips his head and makes a hasty exit. Tsunade pretends that she's not relishing the opportunity to get up and stretch her legs as she meanders out of the tower. She leaves the menial work to her vetted subordinates. Besides, she deserves a break. Being a Hokage is mentally exhausting. As she walks through the streets of Konoha on a slow trek to the sensory headquarters, she dips her head politely from under her customary Hokage hat at each of the bowing greetings she gets from shinobi and she does not revile those choices. It does take a special kind of person to become Hokage, but she often wonders if the coming storms will forge a new soul worthy of becoming Hokage in time. Life has taught her that the unexpected can often wreak havoc in the village, and sometimes the lessons that those tumultuous moments create are not learned as well as they should be. But someday, she wouldn't be here to lead the village anymore, and Konoha would need someone to replace her when that day comes. In conflict, people can truly define themselves and their desires. Chasing after the position of Hokage is more meaningful when a person knows why they're doing it, and what purpose they're doing it for. It's easy for a young shinobi to scream to anyone that will hear them that they will become Hokage, the most recognized face in the village. But those who truly believe themselves when they say it's worth chasing for the result are few and far in between. Those who see that shinobi conflict is centered on the concept of war and other such conflicts understand that a Hokage is a status in the village that comes with a weight that is more than being a politician. It is to be a breed above the rest, to be someone who will meet that conflict head-on instead of letting it sweep them away. Konoha citizens often see being a shinobi as a job title, one that is deep-seated in their lifestyle, but merely a way to pay the bills and feed their kids at the end of the day. Right now, there are only so many people in Konoha that might be willing to replace her when the day comes. 2 of which are Uchiha. The sheer drive in Naruto and Sasuke is something that hasn't been seen in about 20 years. Namikaze Minato and Uchiha Fugaku being the 2 who came before, and Tsunade doesn't miss the peculiar irony about that, one being a Hokage and the other being a candidate for it. She sees a lot of their fathers in those boys, both in wisdom and in strength. Naruto's strength certainly surpasses her own at this point, and he is young enough to lead a fulfilling term as Hokage. He's regarded as a hero by the younger generation for his instrumental place in stopping many of the casualties in the Otokumo invasion, as well as his rescue of the academy students during Itachi and Kisam's infiltration. And now that word is spreading around the village of his battle against Orochimaru, he is beginning to grasp the legend status in the village. If strength alone were enough, he'd be Hokage already. But ever persisting, the wiser ones of her council question his actual loyalty to the village. The public adores him, he is a man with his heart set on his family and his own life, just like them, a champion of the people. Politicians are not so admiring. Kushina had been reviled for a short few years before everyone began to move on with their lives. Uchiha Naruto does not seem like a forgetful person, so it would take time to truly gauge how he feels about the older generations which he would also be charged with protecting as a Hokage. He has displayed wisdom in his acceptance of the importance of conflict in human growth, and he has the strength to take the title, but his reactions to the villagers as a whole is still largely unknown. He is a man who cares about himself and his family, and that is all. Time may teach him to love Konoha, but that is a big if. Sasuke, on the other hand, is steadfastly loyal to Konoha, even willing to butt heads with Naruto about his suspect behavior. His love for the village has so far been unquestioned. His will to succeed and excel may match Naruto's, albeit with less potential than his clanmate. But that hardliner attitude only inspired faith in those who are equally devoted to Konoha, and it would be harder for him to garner the support of the general populace. But an Uchiha's love can turn to even greater hate, and the higher-ups don't like the idea of an Uchiha holding the reins when something catastrophic happens to their mind. If he ever finds out the truth about Itachi, perhaps she's being too hasty. Selecting an appropriate Hokage takes time, and the Uchiha remaining are quite young. There are a few people who can replace her in the worst-case scenario. Kakashi could ultimately do it if he works hard enough, and Jiraiya, for all of his licentious behavior, is strong and wise enough too. Might Guy would honestly be her next choice. She has unwavering faith in his loyalty to Konoha, despite his eccentricities. As for Sakura, well, it's far too early to tell. She is principally too naive, for now. Tsunade shakes off the weary feeling and takes the Starwell into the Sensor Division headquarters. Tsunade Heim. Jiraiya cries out before she can even tell where he is. She is glomped as he falls down from his hiding spot on the ceiling, invisibility fading. Her brow twitches. I missed you. Jiraiya's overly dramatic fake sobs are like someone is dragging their nails on a chalkboard. She punches him into the ceiling and through the roof. The division gives her fearful looks and return to their work. It is then she spies the other one she'd been expecting. Taller and healthier than he was before. His hair looked much the same with the exception of the black ponytail at the back of his neck. A white Uchiha zip-up shirt with a blue and red crest on its back stands out in contrast to his dark hair. But his facial structure looks more like his father than his brother or mother, looking more masculine than before. He turns to face her after being branded with the invisible key to the new barrier. Tsunade-sama. Sasuke dips his head respectfully. Not too low. It's just not the style of an Uchiha. Welcome home, Sasuke. Tsunade smiles. It's good to be back. Sasuke smiles back. Sakura briefly moves her long pink hair out of her face as she tries to deal with yet another distraction by an unwanted charge for the day. Research on neural damage caused by seals is something unique and untouched to her before, but someone had piqued her curiosity about it, so she decided to see if she could find anything that might be worth knowing in other fields. She gives a deadpan stare. Monako returns the stare with teary puppy dog eyes, silently begging. You should be in school. Having grown an immunity to it, Sakura doesn't budge. Plies ne-chan. Monako is all but sprawling over Sakura's lap, and the young woman is forced to put her textbook down. The academy is so boring. I already know everything. True to being Hitaki Kakashi's daughter, Monako is frustrated with Konoha's slow academic system. Only she isn't afforded the opportunity to graduate early like the old days, and neither Kakashi nor Shizune want her to. They tutor her of course, but they're also her parents, which leads to some difficulty in teaching her without being frustrated. There'd been a phrase that passed her ear once: don't teach someone you like, because you won't like them afterwards. Naruto had gotten away with being truant, but even as a child his skill level had been leaps and bounds ahead of his peers by such a significant margin that even Tsunade-sensei agreed that the academy hadn't been doing him any good. Outside of reading and writing comprehension and ability, anyway. I'll teach you one jutsu, and you go straight back to the academy, and don't skip the academy and come crawling back to me until you're sure you've mastered it, understand? Sakura compromises, but sternly. Please, 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 please. Monako begs again, willing to do anything not to be sent back to the academy. Alright, I want you to pay attention. Sakura knows that Monako is astute, so she gives her simple but not too much so rundown. This jutsu was made by Naruto and he taught it to me. You remember Naruto? Anai-chan. Monako confirms, though the time passed may make her memories of him foggy. It starts out just like Genjutsu. You reach out with your chakra using these signs. She waves the signs slowly and precisely, saying them aloud with each one. You stamp something with the chakra that you just wove. And then, she weaves the remaining signs, bringing the total up to 7. The stack of paper on the desk is suddenly replaced by her backpack that had been laying inconspicuously in the corner. Sogo Kaorimi no Jutsu, mutual substitution. Sakura states after the demonstration. Wah, Monako looks confused but intrigued. It's like the substitution jutsu, but instead of swapping you, it swaps 2 different things. When your chakra control is good enough, Sakura points out the window to her neighbor's room across the street. You can swap with things that are far away too. The bag on her desk vanishes and is replaced by the pot plant on the adjacent windowsill, before it swaps back. And if you're really good at chakra control, Sakura starts swapping multiple objects in the room, making it seem like a messy blur. You can do several at once and confuse people. Anai-chan made this, Monako asks in amazement. He sure did. He needed it for our Chunin exams, so he invented on the spot. Something dry slips into Sakura's voice, but it is also fond. Show me the signs again. Please show me the signs again. I wanna learn Anai-chan's jutsu. The begging is back in full force. Sakura hides an exasperated sigh. Promise me you'll go back to the academy if I do. Monako nods solemnly, light slipping out of her eyes. I promise. It takes only a few minutes before Monako gets the signs down, and she's already running out of Sakura's room, rushing past Mebuki as she's bringing her daughter a snack. Thank you Nei-chan. Bye Nei-chan. Bye Nei-chan's car-chan. Genjutsu study and sees her mother's face shrouded in the silhouette of someone outside the window. Kakashi and Shizune are scaling each side of the window, peering in with cheeky grins. That was some impressive chakra control, Sakura-sensei. Kakashi gives her his signature eye smile and her face heats up. I hope, Sakura grits out. Your mission isn't to make fun of me today. She cracks her knuckles for emphasis, leading the couple to take a cautionary lean back. Don't be like that, Sakura. Shizune waves it off sheepishly. We actually are here for a good reason. What's happening? They don't seem particularly panicked, but it could be an act not to agitate Mebuki. Jiraiya-sama and Sasuke have returned. They're getting stamped at the sensor. Sakura is leaping out of the window before they can finish. Kakashi and Shizune follow quickly. Mebuki eyes the abandoned snack with discontent. HMMPF. Shinobi. Ringed purple eyes observe the barrier from the outside. I couldn't see this before. It's interesting. Something of a mischievous gleam enters his gaze. Sasuke is quizzing the sensor Shinobi out of curiosity, just trying to understand what it's going to do to help Konoha as a whole. So this, Sasuke gestures towards the floating water sphere. Picks up chakra anomalies as soon as they enter the barrier. What about wildlife and such? Wouldn't that set it off? The division head, Dumeki, strokes his white goatee and nods a confirmation. HM, they certainly do. However, the beauty of the field is that it can distinguish types of life. Even if someone were to say, transform into a small rodent, they would still have distinctly human chakra that can be assessed by chakra nature, chakra strength and capacity, as well as a recording of any seal that enters the barrier. It's how we picked you up. See over here. Dumeki brings him over to the scroll printers with large jars of ink feeding into them. Sasuke sees a near-perfect rendition of his 8 trigrams seal, along with colored kanji denoting his chakra natures of fire and lightning. There are a few blips that don't pass as anything legible above and beneath, and quat. The little scribbles are just wildlife really. The water sphere in the middle of the room helps us track them just in case, but as you can see, this advanced design is quite sufficient at detecting intruders. If an outlier pops into the barrier, we investigate and see if they're Narpos, a threat or a friendly that hasn't an Narpos, been tagged with the entry formula, and quat. Could a potential intruder tag themselves with the formula if they study the barrier for long enough, and quat? Sasuke asks, wanting to know if it's an Narpos, it's possible that Itachi or his undesirable allies could outsmart the formula. And quat? Not unless they take the barrier plan straight from our minds, and quat? Dumeki taps his temple. And quat? It's an Narpos, it's impossible to see the barrier. In addition, it's an Narpos, SA2 stage system. The sphere displays anomalies and the printers record them in detail. We are Narpos, rewrite in the heart of the village, so it would really just be a stupid idea to come straight for us when we can alert every shinobi in the village to converge and protect the barrier recipe. And quat? You don an Narpos. Tell this to every Konoha shinobi do you? And quat? Sasuke feels that it would be unwise to readily hand out. An intense sensation of camaraderie emanates from them. Things are silent between them while Tsunade and Jiraiya chitter in the background with hushed whispers. This would probably be one of the safest places to have a discussion about important village details in private, Sasuke thinks. His eyes are drawn back to the water sphere in the middle of the room with general fascination. Does it do this regularly? Sasuke observes a ballooning of the sphere on its equator, denoting where someone would be approaching on the main road. The three barrier shinobi all make exclamations of shock. What the hell is that? This chakra. I've never felt anything like this in my life. Maintain form. Dumeki narrows his eyes, seemingly unnerved by the size of the anomaly. Report. The old man orders. A massive amount of chakra just entered the barrier. Sir, it's far stronger than even Tsunade-sama. Bring me the record reel. Jiraiya and Tsunade evidently hear the commotion and hastily make their way over to them. That's not possible, Dumeki mutters in disbelief. Dumeki Dono, this print says that the person who just entered the barrier possesses all 5 basic chakra natures. Many shinobi can use all 5 natures Dumeki Dono, but possessing an affinity to all 5. Dumeki cuts off Jiraiya. Suddenly, the room appears as if the water sphere in the middle of it is collecting the light and everything darkens for a moment. The water sphere ripples from the middle, becoming purple with black rings and a pupil from which they ripple out from. It looks at them before everything in the room goes back to normal, including the sensor sphere. Jiraiya in particular seems struck by the pattern. Tsunade is not so easily thrown off. Anbu, teams 5 through 7, all of you muster outside of the main gate. Jiraiya, let's go meet whoever this is. Tsunade-sama, they just tagged themselves. Dumeki calls out, seeing that the sensing sphere has returned to its normal shape and the recorder isn't picking up anything else from the intruder. Impossible, huh? Sasuke murmurs, thinking that he might just know what's going on. Naruto withdraws his fingers from over his right eye. Sasuke has grown quite a bit. He comments, "This Rinnegan stuff is going to your head." Precious Karin, always there to set him straight. Or so she thinks. He gives her ass a light slap. "You perv." Karin tries to use her body weight to push him over, rather ineffectually. Naruto hides a smile. He doesn't need to tell her that he just placed the barrier passcode on her right cheek. Though nobody without the Rinnegan would be able to see it. What can I say? My girlfriend's hot. And don't you dare forget it. What's going on? Sakura asks, seeing the rush of Anbu towards the main gate. Something big is happening. Do you think it could be Akatsuki? Shizune looks toward her husband, eyes darting toward the academy. Possible. Sakura, let's go. Shizune, you'll... Kakashi switches to captain mode before being cut off. I know. Shizune immediately leaps away, heading straight to the academy to make sure Monako is safe. Sakura and Kakashi leap to the rooftops to begin a fast dash to the gate. Do you think that they know Sasuke came back today? It might not be the Akatsuki at all. Sakura, keep a level head. Hi, sensei, but what could spook the barrier core into sending all these Anbu? Naruto juggles Orochimaru's head between his hands, but at least it's concealed in a bag and Karin doesn't have to fear him for trying to chase her around with it. Do you think they'll let me keep this when I cash in his bounty? Naruto asks and Karin feels only disbelief. Why the hell would you want to keep it? Karin knows that Naruto can be ridiculously obtuse about stupid things, but for what possible purpose? Could he need Orochimaru's head? Well, I was thinking we could get it taxidermied and put it up in the living room. Karin holds her hands over her ears. Soon enough, they see Konoha's massive walls pop up from the horizon. The village is bright and not a cloud is in sight, and the familiar flutter of activity begins to reach their ears. Monako is at the academy. Naruto smiles wistfully after his long-range sensing surveys the village. I've missed out on quite a bit, but it's good to be back. I have a lot to do. Karin is glad that there might be a chance for respite. Naruto is a brutal and controlling teacher. She knows it's for the best, but 2 years straight of training has left her wanting to indulge in the simpler things. She is startled when 2 sets of arms sprout out from Naruto's shoulders, reaching out from the high collar of his coat. Didn't mean to do that. How do I put these back in? Karin is done trying to figure out all the crazy shit that his Rinnegan can do. Naruto's struggle to figure out how to control it is amusing in its own way but equally confusing. The mechanical arms retract back into his shoulders, but his neck and jaw open up with neon red and blue lights. He uses this transformation to amplify his scream, and his booming, deep voice echoes across the entirety of Konoha. KONOHAGAKURE. Bring me the NIBIJINCHUURIKI and your village will be spared. Karin takes a calming breath through Naruto's wicked laughter. She opts to sneak in another way and let Naruto have his fun. KONOHAGAKURE. Bring me the NIBIJINCHUURIKI and your village will be spared. Sasuke struggles to keep a straight face as the sheer panic overwhelms the majority of the shinobi present. An amused huff in his mind makes it clear that he isn't the only one finding it at least a little funny. He watches as Tsunade barks out orders and the Anbu and, off-duty, shinobi arm themselves and stand in formation in front of him. As if it would make any difference. Sasuke, get to safety now. Hi, Tsunade-sama. Sasuke pretends to obey and starts sneaking off to see his family. Tsunade and Jiraiya steady themselves. Through the crowd of shinobi, they see a figure clad in black in the distance running at insane speed towards them. Beads of sweat run down the faces of those who are adept at chakra sensing, knowing just how out of their class this threat is. Get ready. A sack lands at her feet after the order, causing Jiraiya and herself to be momentarily alarmed as it uncoils and strands of smooth black hair furl out of it. That's... Tsunade looks up too late. That damn brat. Jiraiya facepalms. I see his sense of humor hasn't changed in the slightest. Roars of fake courage erupt and everyone charges before Tsunade can issue the order to stop. They can only watch as every one of them are completely and brutally bulldozed out of his way. The most elite Anbu are flung into the top of the gate. Junin are thrown into each other and get knocked down like dominoes. Howls of pained horror resound and yet not one is severely wounded. Stand back. An Anbu issues while he and his three teammates whirl up a collaboration jutsu. Futon, Die Topper, Great Breakthrough. Katen, Die Enden, Great Fire Bullet. Naruto raises an arm while still moving into the village and the wind-enhanced fireball impacts with a translucent shield that absorbs the entirety of it. A pair of arms erupt out of the ground and try to catch his legs. Naruto takes one longer stride and stomps the ground, likely smashing his foot into the head of whoever just tried to grab him. Sorry, Kakashi. Naruto's voice is unapologetic, which annoys Tsunade even more. Her fists clench angrily and she decides to teach this brat a lesson for messing with her and her shinobi. Tsunade-sama. Sakura lands next to her. You're here, good. We're going for the student-teacher punch. Tsunade knows that her beloved apprentice will be more useful if she doesn't know who exactly she's attacking. Tsunade. Jiraiya errs on the side of caution. This might not be a good idea. Naruto is still a blur of motion, too quick for even their trained eyes to see his face and eyes. All they can really see is his hair billowing behind him. In the rush. Let's go. Tsunade and Sakura make a synchronized attack, both putting all their might into a combined blow that would leave that moron licking his wounds for the rest of his damn life. Higher, Naruto pulls out his gunbai at the last second and blocks all of the impressive kinetic energy they could muster. It gains a slight white glow from the wind chakra emanating from it. The gunbai dips slightly, letting him view his assailants in the eyes. Sakura's arm slackens. Naruto. He smirks. Uchiha return. There is a foreboding pause before the gunbai's stored energy hurls them away, down the street and into the village while they tumble and flail. Did you really have to? Jiraiya asks weakly, predicting that Tsunade would vent that anger out on him at first opportunity. Naruto looks at him like he's the stupid one. The nerve. Kid is taking way too much after his mother. Stand down. Jiraiya orders the pursuing shinobi. He's an ally. Just tend to your bruises and go back to your posts. Jiraiya-sama, one brave female Chunin with her brown hair done in buns looks towards the threat, on behalf of the men who'd just been made to look like academy students to a cage. She can only see his back, and is still poised to strike. Naruto actually looks faintly approving. Seems he appreciates someone who's willing to stand up after being beaten down and continue the fight. He turns to face her directly. Well done, Chunin. Naruto places his gunbai on his back. You've passed our assessment drill of Konoha's response time to a threat detected. In the sensor division, Jiraiya looks in utter shock and disbelief at Naruto. How could he just straight-face lie after the shit he just pulled? What? Tenten looks up at him. Naruto-sama, that's right. Naruto's purple eyes are eerie and yet his face displays someone who is proud of her performance. Maddening. This operation was set up by our Hokage in order to prepare for a potential invasion by the Akatsuki once more. To make the drill seem more real, she asked me to. I of course Naruto-sama. Tenten straightens out, leaving Jiraiya gawping. You all did well. Naruto raises his voice. I do, however, hope that this experience has been revealing to all of you. The Akatsuki, or any enemy, nation for that matter, will not be so merciful as to let you live as I did in a real invasion. We are no longer dealing with the likes of a pitiful skirmish, as we saw 2 years ago, and we must be prepared. Review yourselves now while you can, because when an enemy with my kind of strength comes knocking on Konoha's gate, we'll all meet them with the full might of Konoha and the will of fire. Cheers and screams erupt. In the crowd, Kakashi's jaw hangs low. Didn't you just hurt Tsunade-sama and Sakura-san? One voice calls out over the noise, leading to a brief silence. Come now, those two have busy schedules. Neither of them have time to be here in person. What you just saw were two cage bunshin. Besides, don't underestimate those two. They're too strong to be defeated by one mere attack. Naruto chastises, and the person who asked looked slightly embarrassed. If you have business with her, go straight to the Hokage Tower. Before he can apologize, however, Naruto makes a show of being a commanding presence. Remember to render aid to yourselves and return to your posts. Hi, Naruto-sama, the collective of shinobi call out before limping or vanishing away. Once all but Kakashi and Jiraiya are gone, Naruto's face dissolves into helpless amusement. PFFT, HAHAHAHA. His laughter keels him over and he looks red-faced. It might have been enough to set him off into peals of laughter if his own weren't so scary. Tsunade and Sakura come out from behind the building that they'd hidden behind once Naruto started his speech of inspiring bullshittery, looking red-faced for another reason. The embarrassment is clearly too much to bear for them. Kakashi puts a hand on Naruto's shoulder and looks annoyed that he has to look up to his once shorter student and little brother figure. One of these days, I'm going to strangle you to death. Naruto smirks. That day will never come. Kakashi's visible brow twitches, but before he can retort, Sakura hides the shame at being so utterly decimated and wraps her arms around Naruto, barely managing to wiggle her hands under the gunby. I missed you, you giant idiot. She whispers into him. She feels the rumbling of his chest from his cute, happy laugh. It's so much nicer to hear than the scary noises he'd made in the past. It helps to remind her that despite the monstrous nature of him, that there is a kind, human contrast to everything about him that is oh so easy to admire. For all his conflict-seeking actions and words, inside beats a heart of devotion and love. Her face heats up when he pulls her close. I've missed you too, Sakura. Naruto smiles down at her. She keeps her face pressed to his chest, not wanting him to see how much she's blushing. Yes, this is all very touching, Tsunade grits out, eager to ruin their reunion. Where's your redhead menace? Karin is already in the village. She's dropping off our belongings at our apartment. Naruto and Quat. I suppose it would in an Arpos. Be conventionally possible, yes. And Quat. Naruto and Arpos. S response is guileful and dismissive. Sakura takes a closer look at Naruto and Arpos' face. Now drawn under her more attentive gaze, she does see that he hadn't an Arpos. T just gotten taller and deep-voiced. And Quat. What happened to your Sharingan? And Quat. She mutters softly. And Quat. I got the latest edition. And Quat. Naruto winks before turning slowly to face the other three high-ranking shinobi. Jiraiya and Arpos' breath catches in his throat. Tsunade looks as though she and Arpos' seen a phantom of the past, a long-forgotten memory dredging its way up out of irrelevance. Kakashi doesn't an Arpos. T know what to make of it and just stares blankly. And Quat. You don an Arpos. T have to fear for the integrity of the barrier. It an Arpos, actually impressively advanced. But you should know that these eyes can make anything Kurenai-sensei had explained at length to Shino and himself that the past 2 years had not been cozy by any means for the former heiress. Her father is a real piece of work, going as far as to brand his own eldest daughter with a curse mark used on all branch members of the clan. Even now Kiba doesn't really understand it. They say it's to protect the sanctity of the Kekkei Genkai, but Kiba and the other Inuzuka that he'd vented to about it, said that it was as good as admitting their weakness to everyone. After all, never had a Senju or Uchiha branded members of their clan, displaying faith in the abilities in their blood. But regardless of the ridiculous politics going on in that stupid clan, Hinata had become extremely withdrawn since having that seal applied to her. forehead. She doesn't go anywhere without her headband over it, and although she'd never said it, Kiba is pretty confident that the mark itself held meaning in the form of failure to her. Failure to receive her father's love and approval. She is getting very thin these days, and damn if he isn't trying to lift her spirits up. Shino hasn't been any help at all, preferring to maintain his clinical outlook on everything and saying everything matter-of-factly. Which he doesn't seem to understand isn't helping Hinata. Maybe he doesn't even want to help. The only people she really even speaks to are Kiba, Kurenai, and only two members of her clan, Neji and Hazashi-san. The two of them are exceedingly kind people with big hearts that are nearly worn on their sleeves. Any other time she's flinching away from people, and her performance during missions has drastically decreased as a result. Hinata had been off of missions for a few weeks now, pending a reassessment of her skills to see if she's still fit for active duty. Whenever they left the village, Sakura often replaced her. Neji's been asking me some weird questions. Sakura reveals to him as they dash through the trees, asking about unexpected seizures in Hyuga clan members.
Where are you going?
First to tend to my wounds, then to the hidden leaf.
Kurenai stiffens in front of them. Well, I suppose he's just looking out for his clan. Neji's like that. Kiba dismisses it. Karin-san. Hinata whispers to him, always gloomy and fretful. Naruto-sama, must be back, too. I'll be damned. Thought he'd never come home. Kiba sneakily drops a few pieces of meat onto Akamaru's feet, where the dog is not so discreet about chomping it up. The dry look Kurenai gives him is one of exasperation, but not dissuading at all. They had gotten closer as a team, so she's often willing to look the other way when he does something he shouldn't strictly be doing. In a restaurant at least, he probably shouldn't push his luck when they let him have his dog in here in the first place. But it's cruel to eat in front of a dog and not give him any of it. I wonder what he's been up to. Kiba ponders, holding another piece of meat up to Hinata's mouth. She really does need to eat more. Hinata blushes a little and shrinks into herself. But she still nibbles on the food presented to her, and Kiba counts that as a win. Naruto-sama has been training. Shino deigns to speak up, pointing out the obvious. Kiba withholds a sigh. Yeah, but I wonder how strong he's gotten. He was already pretty crazy when he was here before. Remember when he held up that lake above the academy? One of my clan's brats has a huge crush on him, and calls him her hero. Shino pulls out a small book from his pouch and opens it to an entry about Naruto. He is responsible for killing Orochimaru. Why are you carrying that around with you? Shino puts it away before Kurenai can reprimand him for talking about things like that while they're trying to bond as a team. His disconnectedness from him as a whole has been getting progressively worse, little by little each day. Kiba has been trying to hold them all together because it seems Kurenai-sensei is struggling to do so. Kiba idly wonders if it's the influence of that former Anbu Aburame who'd been reintroduced to the clan after the death of the traitorous Shimura. Danzo. Keeping someone like that around kids doesn't seem like the best idea in the grand scheme of things unless your goal is to turn that child into someone like them. Maybe he's carrying around that bingo book in order to imitate Anbu, to try and become like them so that he could join them someday. He refrains from letting his inner frustration show. Never once did he think that he'd end up taking the responsibility of making sure that his team wouldn't disband, while also trying to prevent Hinata from sinking into despair any further and trying his best every day to train and study so that he could take the reins of his clan. As much as he doesn't want to admit it, Naruto and Sasuke have been role models to him over the past 2 years. Their relentless chasing of their dreams had been somewhat inspiring, as much as it made him feel inadequate for their progress compared to his own. But he is not them, and he is chasing his dreams as fast as his body will allow him to. Part of him guiltily thinks that Kurenai should be doing more for their team but stops it there. There's no point dwelling on those thoughts. As much as he likes the praise from Kurenai and his clan for his hard work, it still feels like he isn't afforded the time to chase more things that he would like to do. More mission variety, maybe learning things that Inuzuka don't typically delve into. Chatting up cute girls would be another priority. Here Hinata, one more. Kiba holds one last piece of meat up for her. She blushes again but does as she's told. She's a beautiful girl too, despite the increasingly pale skin and dangerously skinny body. Well, at least he's doing his best. There's only so much of himself that he will sacrifice before he gets fed up, but these burdens he takes upon himself make him stronger and wiser. He'll surpass those who came before him in the Inuzuka clan, and he reluctantly accepts that the Uchiha were who inspired him to improve. Hazashi and Neji are seated before Hiashi, both with identical scowls marring their faces. Hazashi likes to consider himself a patient, a tolerable man, but there's only so much he can take before even he snaps. He used to have a good relationship with his brother, even after being branded with the caged bird seal. He'd even been willing to die for him. During the attempted theft of the Byakugan no Hinata, before Tsunade-sama set things straight. It had admittedly been a moment of weakness that he later shared with his son, to hate his life so much that he was willing to die and do the right thing for the clan, but expressed that in reality, he had been trying to escape the life of a caged bird. Hiashi changed after that incident and took things to heart that he shouldn't have. He embraced the power of his status and used it to further his ambition at the complete expense of the submissive souls of the branch house. Part of him wonders if he would have been better off dead, to maybe make his brother feel even a slight part of compassion for the loss of his brother, but he knows that Neji may very well have fallen into his own doomed footsteps without his father's guidance and lessons. Unfortunately, Hayashi's schemes had all but destroyed his eldest daughter, and Hanabi had fallen completely to her father's cruel and unrestricted influences. You are both to assess the Uchiha boys. Report to me their weaknesses and goals. Get close to them so that the Hyuga may know. Hazashi grits his teeth. He wants to shout and scream at this husk that was once his brother, but the fear of the pain that the seal brings him stays his mouth. No, Neji refuses. Neji, Hazashi mutters incredulously. Neji's face becomes like iron, strong and confident but not lacking in emotion. A stark contrast to the man in front of him. You cannot refuse. Hiashi states emotionlessly. I can, and I have. I am not your slave to do with as you please. I refuse to be at the whims of a coward like you. Hazashi keeps his mouth shut, the lump in his throat growing in fear of his brother's imminent reaction. Then you are a dissident and of no use to the main house. Hiashi readies a hand sign. Brother, please no. Hazashi leaps to his feet, standing between Neji and Hiashi to try and deflect the ire to himself. Go ahead. Neji smiles with something cunning on his lips. Torture me. Kill me. Hiashi pauses with some confusion. Have you lost your will to live, my son? Hazashi's throat clumps up tightly. I find myself curious as to what excuse you'll give when I turn up at the hospital with neural damage or maybe even dead this time. I think that Hokage-sama would like to know what happened to one her Junin too, not to mention my team. Hayashi's Byakugan flare to life, the skin around them pulsing in anger. Neji continues unabated. I did some research, you know. Old criminal cases that were hushed up during the reign of the Sandaime Hokage, along with some reports that weren't followed up due to the Uchiha police force being decommissioned. Investigations showed that whenever a member of the branch house came forward with information regarding domestic and sexual abuse, strange things would happen to them. Sometimes, they would be inconveniently sent out on a dangerous mission and never return. Other times, they would suddenly have an intense stroke or seizure that would result in brain death that was chalked up to a genetic happenstance that occurs in Byakugan wielders that strikes at regular forces as a Junin. She insists that his abilities, skills and professional demeanor make him a good role model when he's in the eye of the public. She then went on to spout off psychological concerns that he paid attention to but didn't entirely understand. But apparently, the tiny amount of time that he'd spent babysitting Uchiha Sasuke while he played around with Bijou Chakra had caught the attention of some other training neglected kids. My dad said you were some super strong Anbu once and that I should ask you for advice. Yamato blinks at the Nara kid. He doesn't even know his name yet. Probably some knockoff of Shikaku's own name. Clans are weird like that. Sometimes, but maybe he isn't one to judge when he doesn't even have his own real name. The kid doesn't look like he wants to be there, but he's asking anyway, so that probably counts for something. Don't you kids have a sensei? Yamato asks, or really points out. The blonde girl gives a sassy hair flip, but her countenance has a frail edge to it, like she's afraid of an imminent rejection. How many people had these kids asked for training and have been shut down? Yeah, but like, aren't we supposed to go out and find people that have different experiences or whatever? Our sensei was never an Anbu. The Akamichi one adds. True, but that doesn't actually reveal what they really want from him. Well, better just ask. No point in dancing around in conversation. So why did you come to me? The Nara looks like he wants to sigh but opts to hold it in. Unquote. Okay. Unquote. Yamato says bluntly. The kids are silent for a moment. Unquote. Really? Unquote. Yamanaka Gaki asks incredulously. Unquote. Sure. Unquote. Yamato confirms just as easily. Unquote. But I want something too. Unquote. Unquote. We can pay you for services rendered. Unquote. Shikamaru jumps on the opportunity. Yamato waves it off. Unquote. Nah, I just want help. I and Arpos. Am not really good at socializing. I and Arpos. VE been an Anbu for pretty much my whole life and I don an Arpos. T really know how to be normal. If you help me, I and Arpos. LL try my best to train you. Unquote. They blink up at him with undeserved hero worship. Yamato slurps loudly on his ramen while Ino cheers him on. Unquote. That an Arpos. S bold 10. You can do it, Yamato sensei. Unquote. Unquote. He and Arpos. S gonna beat his record. Unquote. Choji eggs him on joyously. Unquote. Go for it, Yamato-kun. Unquote. Ayami cheers with a blush. Unquote. 11. Unquote. Chuchi cries out, declaring Yamato and Arpos. S new record. Yamato and Arpos. S bowl slips out of his grasp as he tries to put it down. He feels sick. Unquote. Don and Arpos. T tell me you and Arpos. Re gonna hurl, sensei. Unquote. Shikamaru asks with a conniving smile. Brat. I and Arpos. LL show you all. He holds it in with as much concentration as he can. The curtains of the ramen staff pull open unexpectedly. Unquote. Time for a mission. Unquote. Quickly, the mood dims as Sarutobi Asuma enters with his own declaration. Yamato ISN and Arpos. T blind or deaf. He prides himself on being like his own role model, the Nidaime Hokage. Always assessing, always watching and listening and understanding. Meeting not unlike many Sarutobi, actually. Even the Sandaime took no advice from anyone, always demanding that his vision be seen to, no matter the cost. He was someone that didn't listen to the common people, only his advisors and members of certain clans and factions. Konoha had survived due to the leadership of better men than him through the fires and horrors of war. Hitaki Sakumo and the Sannin, Namikaze Minato and Uchiha Fugaku, among many famed and powerful people. They disregarded the lunacy that was Sarutobi Hiruzen's battle strategies and forged their own path that more often than not, led to complete victory over Konoha's enemies. Yes, Yamato truly believes that the Sandaime had been the worst Hokage of all of them, and he had been Hokage for far too long. He snaps out of his thoughts when Choji and Shikamaru put a hand on each of his shoulders, while Ino hugs him from behind. We'll come back soon, okay sensei. Ino squeezes extra hard before reluctantly dredging away. Good luck, Yamato calls out. Remember, I'm proud of you. They straighten in pride while following their back hunched, real, sensei. Yamato turns to Ayami, who looks at him unabashedly while her father tends to the stock in the back room. You're great with kids, she practically purrs. I am, Yamato asks, bewildered at the statement. Is that meant to be a compliment? People like compliments back, right? Well, I think you're the best cook in the village and I like your hair. It's pretty. A great, crack, noise resounds next to him, and he is startled to see a large hand smack against the counter. Ayami looks like she jumped out of her skin in fright. One strange, ringed purple eye stares down at him like he's prey about to be devoured. Flirting with my big sister, are you? The deep voice asks with little emotion, but there is still a tangible rage felt through the sound rather than the tone. Yamato swallows. He is given a 10-minute dressing down about how he must be responsible with her and treat her with utmost respect at all times, no matter how much Kakashi-senpai and Tsunade-sama try to drag the Uchiha away from the stall. He doesn't miss the furious blushing of the waitress nor the general amusement around Kakashi's eye. Stop harassing my Junin, brat. Don't get jealous Tsunadeheim. A pensioner like you is too old for a handsome young man like, he is pretty good looking. Is Sakura's only contribution. Sasuke takes a deep breath. This is the moment he's been looking forward to for the past 2 years. His shaky hand knocks on the door. His rudimentary senses hear the clattering of utensils and he can feel a tiny rumble of untrained legs slapping against a wooden surface. Tsukimi-chan, please stop wriggling around coming. He hears Hamari's voice through the door and his breath catches. The door opens jerkily, and just the people he's been aching in his heart for show themselves to him. Hamari has barely changed. She still has the distinct motherly aura that she always had. The tiny lines under her eyes show a labor of love in taking care of a little one. Said little one is more beautiful than he could have ever imagined. Tiny flecks of light brown hair lick off the top of her head like feathers, and dark green eyes take in his appearance with unreserved curiosity. She's also got her 4 fingers in her mouth, drenched in saliva. "Ah, hey Hamari, I'm home." Hamari reaches out with her free hand, and clumsy as it is, it finds its way to his arm and skitters up delicately as if to make sure that he's really there. Her hand gradually makes its way to his shoulder, and then to cup his face. It's really you. Oh honey." She pulls him into a one-armed hug and cries, "And God, does it really feel like home." Contact with someone that he loves is so much better than the prostitutes that Jiraiya tried to shack him up with, always grabbing him and running their hands over him until he got annoyed and left them behind. "You're finally home, we need to catch you up, Yuito will be so happy. Wait, you haven't met your little sister yet." Sasuke laughs as she stammers. She looks faintly embarrassed but soon extracts revenge by placing Tsukimi in his arms. He fumbles at the unexpected wait. "Hamari, there." Hamari nods resolutely. "You are now officially babysitter number 1. Better get used to it, Sasuke-chan." She's more than a handful. There's a sense of foreboding there, but he tries his best to ignore it and gets a better grip on Tsukimi. Green eyes look up at him. "Brr, Tsukimi-chan." Sasuke tries and her big eyes show recognition to her name. "I'm Uranai-chan. PRLBLBLB." Tsukimi blows a raspberry at him. Sasuke takes it like a champ. Hamari laughs. "Come on, let's go find my hi, Okar-san." Sasuke's retort comes out as sarcastic. She takes his arm immediately and doesn't even try to contradict him. "Found you." Karin pounces on Naruto. Well, if it isn't the most beautiful woman in Konoha's history. Karin pulls him down into a long and full-tongued kiss. Right in front of his annoying chauffeurs through the village, persistently following him around as if he's going to listen to anything they have to say. So he ignores them and immerses himself in Karin's mouth shamelessly. A long streak of saliva between their mouths is quite visible to the jaw-hung spectators when they're finally done. In the middle of the street, Sakura asks weakly. Kakashi gives a thumbs up, having no words to describe Naruto's accomplishment at scoring someone who he is obviously destined to be with. "Sakura." Karin perks up. "You look great." "Thanks, Karin. You do too. And you've changed a bit." Sakura makes a point of looking at Karin's exposed arms, free of the bites that plagued them before, and she clearly takes notice of her now pupilled scarlet eyes showing off freely and without the lens of glasses obscuring them. "Perks of having Naruto as my boyfriend," Karin states with a grin, apparently learning from Naruto how to give an answer and yet provide absolutely no information at all. "How?" Tsunade butts in with curiosity. "Uchiha Kinjutsu." Naruto deflects quickly. He thinks if he keeps it close to his chest then maybe he can take advantage of it again someday. Without being taken advantage of. Tsunade's nose scrunches up in distaste but pushes no further. "You haven't seen Sasuke yet?" Karin asks her paramour. "Not yet, I keep getting distracted." Naruto admits. "I'm going to see him now though. This is the part where I go." Jiraiya announces. "I've had enough of that brat. You know how much money I spent trying to shack him up with total babes. I never want to see his face again." Tsunade pinches the bridge of her nose and Sakura looks disgusted. "Stop being melodramatic. The will of a super pervert cannot falter." The geezer says sagely, "I'll meet you in Tsunade's office, kiddo. We have some things to talk about later." Naruto waves. He's glad that things have quickly gone back in place between them, no awkwardness of having been away for so long. Jiraiya is just a lecture that for some reason everyone likes. The Toad Sage leaps off in the great journey to find research. Naruto wishes him well. Tsunade blows a strand of hair from her face and an unwitting smile darts across her mouth. "Alright, come to my office before the day is done. I won't hold your reunion up anymore. Bye, Tsunade-sensei." Sakura dips her head politely. "Shall we?" Naruto gives his hand to Karin and she takes it up gladly. Sakura takes up to his other side, looking slightly envious but happy to have their team back together at last. Sasuke keeps the tick to his brow hidden as Hamaru laughs patronizingly at his suffering. Tsukimi insists on grabbing his bangs and gives tugs. None too gently. "Is that my baby girl I hear?" Yuito's voice comes from his bakery. Hamari leads Sasuke into the bakery and Yuito doesn't take so long to recognize him. Or is at least, less dumbfounded by his appearance. "And my baby boy." Yuito laughs and Sasuke nearly cringes at the embarrassing term of endearment. "Pa." Tsukimi gurgles at him. He scoops her out of Sasuke's reluctant arms and hooks him around the shoulders like he used to. "Come on my boy, welcome home. We have some catching up to do." "Huh. I was about to say the same thing." A voice from the door resounds. Naruto leans against the doorway of the bakery but doesn't make any move to come in. He instead looks on at the reunited family with some understanding and fondness. Naruto gives a dismissive gesture. No need to stand in ceremony for me. Friends of Sasuke are friends of mine. Sakura's head pokes out from behind him and she too takes in the appearance of the happy family. She smiles too, finally getting to see her teammates in the same place at the same time after 2 years, with their sensei too. We'll come find you again, Sasuke-kun. Sakura's bright mood couldn't be soured if anyone tried. I can't believe you came back with a baby. Kakashi sounds comically surprised. Naruto sees through the game as Sasuke immediately rises to defend himself. Don't worry, Sasuke, we'll give you enough time to let you and your daughter get settled in. She's not my daughter, her name is Tsukimi, you morons. Kakashi, Sakura, Naruto and Karin instantly vanish, leaving the Uchiha boy grinding his teeth together. I'm gonna kill them both. Yuito and Himari nervously quiet their laughter before Sasuke's claws get any longer. Sakura had ditched them, claiming that she's had her fill of Monako for today. Tsukimi, huh? Naruto hums the familiar name. That's a good name. They walk past several mystified parents and into the academy. Hey Shizune. Naruto walks past casually in the academy hallway. Hey Naruto. Shizune replies without even realizing. Wait, Naruto, I should have known all of the commotion would have been you. Me, I'm the picture of innocence. Your bingo book entry says otherwise. Shizune replies dryly. I have a bingo book entry. How much is my bounty? That's all you care about. Kakashi decides to fill him in. Between 50 million and 70 million, depending on which nation. Naruto frowns. What a pitiful amount. I guess they can't afford the shinobi it would take to kill me. Don't worry Naru, Karin attempts to cheer him up. Maybe next time you can wipe out the Akatsuki and someone will put a bigger bounty on you. I guess. Naruto mopes. What a stupid thing to be sad about. Anyway, I have someone to abduct from class. I take it you're here because of the village overreacting to my— Shizune narrows her eyes. Naruto puts his arms up disarmingly with a smile that wouldn't set anyone at ease. He swore he could feel her eye roll. The former assistant turns her attention to Karin. You look absolutely incredible, dear. She compliments genuinely. Karin blushes expectedly, hands crossing over her clean and silky arms as if to trace the bites that marred it. Thanks, Shizune. It was a surprise when I woke up like this, but Karin turns a loving gaze to Naruto's back. My boyfriend was pretty relentless about it. It's good to know that he's still the same Naruto under all that scary reputation. Karin can't find the words to reply to that. She's been with Naruto for every step of his journey in his quest for power over the past 2 years. Just over 2.5, really. She'd never been on the receiving end of his raw battle prowess. Yes, he trains her, but that is something quite different. To struggling for survival like all his enemies do. She can't think of a time that she'd ever been fearful of him or what he could do. And maybe that's just the physiological difference between Uzumaki and normal people. Maybe their brains are just wired to think that someone who shares the innate power of the Uzumaki is inherently a guardian and protector, someone to be reveled instead of reviled. She can't explain why she loves Naruto, she only does, and she makes sure he knows it every day, as he does with his affection for her. He's special to me, she says only, watching him open a classroom door without knocking. The teacher looks ready to relieve himself from life, at the mere thought that an S-rank shinobi wants something to do with him or his students. They observe as the students' heads perk up to the sudden noise. Monako even stands up, silky silver hair bouncing around because it looks like she knows who he is. It might make it a bit harder to capture him. If you even want to, that is. Sure, you don't have any feelings left for your baby brother. Kisame is trying to find a button to push. That much is obvious, but Itachi himself doesn't know the answers to how he's going to solve this problem. Akatsuki is a world-level threat with powerful members. It's going to quickly become harder to protect his brother from their wrath, but he knows any action he takes will force the Akatsuki to take on a different strategy. One that he might not know. At least without interfering now, he can save that as a trump card of betrayal when the Akatsuki is on the brink of capturing Sasuke and are sure of success. The modus operandi of Senju Tobirama, we will adapt and plan around it. As always, Itachi provides stoically. Uchiha Naruto, huh, hey, you don't see guys like that around anymore. Well, besides Pain-sama. Kisame ponders aloud. If Leader Sama is fearful that we cannot defeat him, he can make an appearance on his own. He is not a man to be dissuaded from his goal, least of all with Madara really holding the reins. Well, we still have a bit of time. Kisame shrugs it off. Maybe we can start a war here and there. Brew some chaos, draw the Jinchuriki away from the people holding their leashes. Itachi says nothing, he only thinks of how many more evil deeds he can commit to protect Sasuke. How far is he willing to let the rest of the world fall into despair to protect him? He tries to blink away the spots in his eyes, but it's no longer I have a commission for you, young scientist. The masked man continues as if Kabuto hadn't done anything. I'd like you to research a most peculiar trait of the Makuten. Easier said than done, Kabuto snarls. Don't you think that I'd know more about it if I could get my hands on it? A white creature with a slight green tinge and green hair rises up out of the ground. This is a Zetsu. It's essentially a weak clone of Senju Hashirama. I want you to discover how well it can replicate the Kekkei Genkai traits of Shinobi and see if that adaptability can be passed on to a human. I can provide more than enough test subjects for this cause. And if I refuse, Kabuto says just to be petty, to feel some semblance of control for once in his life. The masked man takes no heed of it. Then we part ways. You, he looks over Kabuto's shoulder, can go back to grinding up what's left of Orochimaru's corpses, or you can be a part of something greater and define yourself as someone who is more than Orochimaru could have ever dreamed of becoming. Kabuto swallows as sweat beads purr down his face in the humid lab. I accept. Splendid. The man is candid about it. However, killing intent erupts and Kabuto feels like he is drowning. If you double-cross me, you will only wish you had died here and now. Omegakure, Pain's Tower. We still haven't received anything on the Kyuubi. Conan states, expressing some desire to halt the plan before they can locate it. It matters little. Pain states stoically, it will appear when the world becomes a calamity once more. It always does. That is only what Madara told you. Conan doesn't want Nagato to fall further into that man's lies and half-truths. He has been correct about a great deal of the nature of this world. Pain dismisses. Conan's nervous habit of pushing her piercing on the inside of her lip rears its head. If you're in there, Nagato, please just think this through.
Hope you all enjoyed this way. And anyways, please was the King of Weebs there, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Link in the description below for the Discord server and Fanfiction itself. Anyway, my doctor, you're all dismissed.